Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
The Straw Hat's Red Devil, Sky Island Saga, Number 3, by DeadGirlEtarnal. She's the daughter of red-haired Shanks. She was dropped off to live with Luffy. She met Ace and Sabo, but when Sabo died, it was the last for her, as she vows to take revenge. Years later, she leaves the island and sets on adventures of her own. She soon meets up with her baby brother and travels with him, finding love in more than one place. Adios.
Over 25 years ago, in a dangerous sea known as the Grand Line, a young red-haired boy wearing a straw hat raced across the Oro Jackson as a young blonde-haired girl with purple eyes and pink crosses as iris jogged behind him. Another boy with blue hair and a red nose shouted and ran behind them. "Oi! You brats, calm down!" An older man with slicked back blonde hair and a dark beard shouted at them, making them stop in their tracks and look at the first mate with guilt etched across their faces. "Sorry, really?" The preteens apologized together, trying to play off as innocent, but were far from it, and most of the crew knew better. "Come on, Shanks, let's go see what food the cook can give us," the girl whispered into the red-haired boy's ear and grabbed him by the hand as they tried getting away from the blue-haired boy. Shanks looked at the girl's hand in his and couldn't help but blush at the feel of her hand. He'd had a crush on the blonde girl since her sudden arrival on the Oro Jackson, and when she tried to kill him, he could have sworn he fell deeply in love with those unique eyes. "Bye, Buggy," Shanks waved as the blonde-haired girl dragged him away across the ship and down the stairs, leaving the blue-haired boy behind. "Hey, Anna!" "Shanks!" Buggy exclaimed as the other two preteens ran into the ship to cause more mischief. "Those three, what are we going to do with them?" Silvers Rayleigh laughed, standing beside his captain, who grinned. "See, the years passed, and it came. On the day of Roger's death, the world-famous pirate Kane." An older Anna and Shanks watched from the shadows, tears falling down their faces at the man who took them in, raised them with ideals, and helped them become the people they are now. It had been 2 years since either saw their former captain, who disbanded the Roger Pirates before getting captured by the Marines. The two teens created their own pirate crew, making a name for themselves under their own pirate flag. Dark rain clouds gathered above Logia town, and Anna wiped away her fallen tears as she grabbed Shanks' hand, pulling him away from the alleyway and into their new adventures. Roger took his last breath and ignited a new era. Shanks tried hiding his tears, covering them with his straw hat. Still, Anna could see them as she took his hand, pulling him down the street away from the crowd and into this untested new era as people sailed around the seas and ventured out to the treacherous Grand Line, where many would lose their lives. Anna placed a hand over her barely showing pregnant belly, hoping that she could show her and Shanks's unborn child the way of a good and true pirate and assassin. See, a year after the birth of Anna and Shanks' child, the beautiful baby girl had hair like her father's and eyes similar to her mother's. Dakota LaRue was the apple of her parents' eyes. Shanks proposed a month later, and now the blonde-haired teen stood in a small room. Her palms felt clammy, and her nerves were getting to her, with her stomach fluttering on the most important day of her life. Anna had been an assassin since she could walk, but this was an even bigger day. She looked at herself in the full-body mirror as one of her most trusted crew members came into the room behind her. "You look beautiful, Anna," Ben commented, entering the room and making her look back at their first mate in the mirror. "Am I rushing into this?" Anna asked him as a loud cry sounded from the other side of the room. Anna immediately jumped into action, speeding over to the noise and seeing her baby girl, Dakota LaRue, in her crib, crying out for her mother's touch and feeling her mother's anxiety. Anna picked up Dakota, trying to calm the fussing baby, bobbing up and down as she soothed the crying infant. "You know that's not true. You love Shanks and Dakota," he reasoned with her, taking the now calm baby in his right arm. He looked at Anna in her gorgeous wedding dress made by her little sisters. Ben held his other arm out to Anna, the captain's beloved bride, and they looped arms. Anna smiled, looking at her trusted first mate and darling baby girl before walking out of the room towards the altar where Shanks waited with their crew, friends, and family watching. See, 3 years later, a terrible storm rolled over the Red Force pirate ship as the red-haired pirates scurried around the vessel, trying to keep their home afloat. Anna stayed below Dakota in her daughter's nursery as the girl played with her toys on the floor, and Anna sat reading a book. They heard crashing thunder above and the shouts of the crew. Suddenly, a knock at the door pulled Anna out of her book, making her get up from her rocking chair in the corner. She looked at Dakota playing happily with her toys and smiled in pride at her barely 4-year-old daughter, not knowing it was the last time, and opened the door to see a shadowy figure looming in the hall she recognized and thought she would never see again. Anna had hoped they would never see each other again, wanting to protect her family. Anna pulled herself out of the nursery and closed the door behind her to shield Dakota from whatever was to happen. Inside the room, Dakota continued playing with her little boat, making splashing noises, which she was all too familiar with, when she heard a loud crash from outside and a piercing cry from her mother. Dakota jumped up when she heard a loud bang from a gun going off and then a scream before nothing but silence, just dead silence. The young red-haired toddler raced to the nursery door, but she couldn't reach the door handle because of her short toddler height, so she tried jumping up and grabbing the handle. Dakota grabbed the handle, pulled it down and made the door swing open, causing her to fall to the ground. Dakota slowly reached her bare feet to see the dark hallway before her. See, Dakota went out into the hallway as the ship rocked side to side abruptly, causing the red-haired toddler to get knocked to the side and fall onto something soft. The young toddler put her hands out onto the soft, unknown object that caught her fall, and Dakota looked up to see her mother lying there unmoving. The red-haired girl looked at her to see a pool of blood underneath her. Anna's once shining purple eyes showed no signs of life. Anna was dead. "Mummy?" Dakota called her, but there was no response. "Mummy, get up," she cried, but again, there was no response from the blonde woman. Dakota shook her mother, getting splatters of blood on her clothes, but she got nothing from her mother. "You'll get a cold, Mummy. Daddy says not to lie on the floor." Dakota kept shaking her mother as she tried to wake her, but nothing worked. "Daddy will know what to do, I get Daddy." She ran up the stairs at the end of the dark hallway, and lightning crashed across the window, spooking the little girl as she raced to the deck to find her father. See, Dakota quickly ran up the stairs to the ship's deck where the red-haired pirates were busy doing their own thing, keeping the Red Force afloat in the horrible and powerful thunderstorm, not noticing young Dakota standing there looking around for her father's similar red hair. Dakota panicked when she couldn't find him, tilting her head up and taking a deep breath before screaming loudly and making everyone turn to look at her. Usopp jumped to the shaking young girl, and once he got closer, he saw the blood covering the front of her pajamas. "Dakota, what happened?" Usopp asked the crying 4-year-old and panicked, thinking she was injured from the blood, and stroked her hair, soothing the sobbing Dakota. "Mummy, she's hurt. She won't wake up," Dakota cried, gaining the pirate crew's attention even more. Shanks, having heard his daughters screaming, made his way toward them and took Dakota into his arms. He noticed the distraught appearance of his beloved daughter but didn't care about the blood he could see covering her clothes. Shanks thought about his darling wife and raced down below where Anna's body lay. See, Ben joined them shortly, taking Dakota from Shanks as the pea next to his wife's body and cradled her in his arms, crying as Dakota struggled in her godfather's arms, trying to get to her sobbing father. "Daddy, Mummy won't wake up. What's wrong, Daddy?" Dakota cried out for answers, but Shanks couldn't answer, and that was the first dead body Dakota had ever seen. See, the years poured by, and 6 years passed, and Dakota grew up with her father, who went into a deep depression for some time before snapping out of it and devoting himself to protecting his daughter. One day, the Red Force pulled into another port, like always, and everyone exited the ship. Shanks and Dakota came off last as the father and daughter made their way into town for food and drink. Dakota has her father's vibrant red hair and her mother's angelic appearance. Shanks darted his eyes around, trying to keep an eye out for any boys or potential dangers, like on every island they'd ever stopped at, making a young preteen Dakota sigh in annoyance before walking off behind her overprotective father. Third POV. 10 years have passed since Dakota and Shanks made port at Dawn Island, where they spent a little over a year meeting a particular person who made their lives interesting. Dakota stayed on Dawn Island until she was 17 before leaving and venturing out alone, making a name for herself. Currently, Dakota LaRue is sailing in the open waters of East Blue with a destination in mind and a special person she needs to find. She wishes she could have made it to Fuchsia Village before her baby brother, Monkey D. Luffy, left, but she was on an assignment. Luffy is the most important person besides her father and family to Dakota, who she vows to protect with her life. Now it's time to find him. It seems to be a long journey she wants to end quickly. See, Dakota's POV. I sit patiently on my little wooden sailboat on the ocean of the East Blue on a crisp early morning, staring into the water below, though slightly fearful of falling in because of my devil fruit, which makes it impossible to swim. That's forever a problem when you're a devil fruit user like myself and others. I look over the edge into the abyss as the sails catch the light breeze from the northwest, moving the sailboat towards my next destination. It's been a few weeks since I returned to Fuchsia Village in hopes of catching my little brother before he left, but it was too late as I was on an assassination job. I've been catching up quickly, but it's getting tiresome. See, the boat finally moves closer to my next stop, Gecko Island. I can feel butterflies fluttering in my stomach as I look at the area before me. It's where I hope to find my annoying baby brother. I've already had a run-in with an old friend in Orangetown who knew the brat, so it was easy to find out where he was going next. The man said he saw a boy matching my baby brother's description and commented about a woman with orange hair and a man with green hair with him before they left the island. I raised the hood of my leather black short jacket, hiding my vibrant red hair and face. I have matching leather pants, boots, and a crop top, showing off my toned stomach. I don't want to get noticed by anyone before I reveal myself to my baby brother or get caught by Marines. See, my boat finally stops at the beach side near a slope going up to the nearest village, which seems to be covered in some type of oil, meaning someone came up with a quick trap. I frown at the oil stopping me, but I just shrug it off before hopping out of the boat into the shallow seawater, feeling a little drained from the side effects of being a devil fruit user, and quickly make it to the rocky land. I glance around, hearing a faint noise from the island's far side. I smirk, coming up with a plan as I have a hunch my baby brother is in the thick of it. Reason 1. So I can surprise my baby brother, but, of course, I need to find him first, and that shouldn't be hard, as Gecko Island is tiny. Reason 2. I need to know my enemy first, which means recon. I devise a quick temporary plan as some battle plans change mid-fight. If anything, I've learned over the last 5 years being an assassin, you need at least a dozen ideas before you go into the thick of things. I tie up my boat to a rock, though I doubt I'll see it again once I find my baby brother when I hear the roar of people cheering again. Something exciting must be happening now, and I know who is involved. A certain rubber boy. See, sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. That's rude of me. I am Dakota LaRue, daughter of the notorious idiotic red-haired Shanks. As you may have heard, Shanks, my dad, is the captain of the Red Force, and all my uncles and aunts live on the ship. They love me to pieces, being a big part of raising me, and I love them, too, like blood. My favorite is my uncle, Godfather, Ben Beckman. He may always be too solemn, which makes my father's goofy behavior more hilarious, but it's a lot of work as my godfather sometimes complains about gray hairs whenever I talk to him. So, enough about my father. This is the story that I share with my younger brothers. I love them but must find my baby brother, Monkey D. Luffy. He's always been a troublemaker since I met him with my dad and crew when I was only 10. So, shall we get back to the story? See, I leave my boat tied at the beach and walk around the island's rocky outline, though it's a little tricky with there not being a straight path around the shore. Hearing the shouts of people getting closer as I climb over another set of rocks, and I know more when I listen to them talking. It's a young woman and a man. Possibly my brother's new crewmates. As I come around the corner, I see a large ship with the cat figurehead lying in the sand and men all around it, looking up the steep slope. All of them seem in shock. See, as I get closer, my protective nature overcomes me. I watch a sleek man in a black suit with long, sharp, clawed gloves trickle down from each fingertip. A boy around Luffy's age with a long nose holds a pistol aimed at the man in the suit. The boy fires, but the suit-wearing man taps his feet in a strange sequence on the ground before moving quickly out of the way of the bullet and using his long knife gloves, encasing them around the boy's head. My protective older sister instincts activate. I use my demon speed, racing over to the man in the suit and extending my nails, making them sharper before stopping short before them, announcing my presence. I can feel the eyes of everyone on me as I step forward and swipe my hand down, cutting at the suit-wearing man's face, making him fall backwards onto the ground with a thud from the shock of my sudden appearance and the force of my hit. Seems I just couldn't help myself, I mutter, sighing, appearing outwardly disappointed with myself. Yeah, right. I turn around to see the boy I saved looking at me with tremendous shock, along with the others. I notice an all too familiar one wearing a straw hat with a red ribbon around the base that I've helped stitch back on more than one occasion that I can count as standing at the bottom of the slope, and I know who wears it. I grin and take a dramatic bow before looking up with a broad smirk on my soft pink lips. What the hell was that? The crew below shouts in shock. I look down to see Luffy pouting among the other pirates as it seems he wants to be the one to hit the suit guy. How did she get there so fast? She just appeared. But how could she do that? She really scratched Captain Kuro. Now I know the name of the man I hit. I've heard about his reputation from my time as a member of the Golden Campus, and well, he isn't living up to my expectations, so I look at my baby brother down at the bottom of the slope and grin. Hey Luffy, you up for the fight? I shout at him, and Luffy tilts his head down, shadowing his eyes with the rim of the straw hat and punches his arm forward before slicing it to the side of the slope, creating rubble. Guess he agrees. I know he has it covered, so I need to cover his back so no one interrupts his fight. From what my old friend told me, he may have a small crew now, but Luffy can handle his own and needs to gain experience. So far, from what I've heard, he's doing great. I hear the sound of soft footsteps coming from the forest behind me and turn my head slightly to see 3 small children, each with their own strange fruit and vegetable appearance. The one on the left looks like an onion, in the middle is an apple-looking kid, and on the right is a carrot-looking one, strange little children. Usopp Pirate Crew, reporting. The boys cheer before throwing down some hits on the unconscious Captain Kuro. You guys. The long-nosed kid shouts to the 3 boys in panic, clearly seeing the problem with the assault on the unconscious man. Stop that. The blonde girl cries out in worry for them, too. Give up, the apple-looking boy orders while smashing down on the unconscious Kuro. Kill him, the carrot-looking boy snaps while also hitting him with their makeshift weapons. You dare break the peach onion-looking boy cries out, hitting the man. The boys seem too naive to think straight as Captain Kuro is someone who, even when my brothers and I were younger, wouldn't have picked a fight with. Okay, that was a lie, but these boys are normal kids, not like me or my little brothers in any way. Quit it, the long nose orders them, and I know from his appearance, having seen a photo in my uncle Usopp's room on the Red Force that he keeps on his wall of his kid. This is Usopp, his son. What are those brats doing? A Kuro lackey cries from the bottom of the slope, but I'm unsure if it's for the kids or their captain. What the hell are they thinking? I hear another man say from behind him. I didn't notice him at first, mainly because I was more focused on Luffy, and I didn't class the man as a significant enough threat to care about having my back to him. I look to my right to see the man, possibly the first mate, looking worried about the children, though more likely he's scared about how his captain will react once he regains consciousness after my attack and the kids' assault. Stop this. Usopp orders his young friends in fear for their lives. You guys, cut it out, he warns them, and the boys finally stop, out of breath from the vicious hits they gave out. Yosh, I think he's suffered enough. The apple kid replies proudly to his friends as they breathe slowly, looking proud of themselves and their work. They've really pissed Captain Kuro off now. A Kuro pirate shouts, looking around in fear, and I have a feeling it's true because if the rumors about him are true, then he's going to murder those kids for what they did to him. Those stupid brats. The kids seem done with the former pirate captain before running over to the fragile-looking blonde girl and Usopp. Captain. The boys greet Usopp, running towards him, seeming happy to see their older friend and supposed captain. Just as we thought, Captain's fighting them, the carrot kid announces, seeming glad for that piece of information. Why didn't you tell us the truth? Onion Boy asks him, are we insiders? No, outsider? Whatever. Usopp snaps at them, wanting them to run away from the battle. Anyways, you guys gotta get out of here. He orders them, now. No, Carrot Kid declares, not seeing the danger behind us. We'll fight with you, Applehead shouts at him, wanting to stay. If we run, it brings dishonor to the Usopp pirate crew. Onion Boy snaps. All of them seem determined to stay and fight with their friend, but they soon stop seeming overly scared as they notice Kuro regaining consciousness and getting up behind them. Kuro seems angry, very angry, with his large knife gloves pointed towards me. He looks ahead and tries lifting his cracked glasses, thanks to the boys. I look at my nails unbothered and see the claw marks, still dripping blood, across his face. Kuro raises his glasses with the hilt of his hand, but the remaining glass smashes, and he narrows his eyes in annoyance at the three children, who look behind them and scream in fright. "You morons, hurry up and get out of here!" Usopp orders the boys, but they seem stuck in fear of the tall man. He ignores them and goes towards Usopp, kicking him. "Captain!" The children cry out for their friend as Usopp lands down the slope and slides down slightly from the force of the kick. "Not bad," Kuro remarks, looking at me as I stand near the top but with some distance between him and the swordsman. "That was a pretty good hit you threw at me there." I smile innocently at him and point at myself comically, not really taking him seriously. You possess the power of the devil fruit, don't you?" he asks me, but I know he's also questioning my baby brother. "Yeah, the devil fruit," I answer, smirking, allowing my canines to grow and showing off my fangs. "Yeah, the rubber fruit," Luffy answers with a smile. "I'm a devil woman, and he's a rubber boy," I retort, sending a teasing shot towards my baby brother, knowing he hates it when I call him a boy. "No, I'm a rubber man," he corrects me with an annoyed tone to his voice, but still, I won't ever listen, thinking of him as the 7-year-old I met 10 years ago. "What? That's bad news," the Kuro pirates shout in panic after learning about our devil fruits. "Those things do exist. No wonder he's so weird." That comment annoys me, and I'll kill whoever said that about my baby brother as I turn my face to the crowd of pirates at the bottom with an evil glare. "Django, I will take care of the woman," Kuro announces, but I shake my head to decline. "No thanks, I think the kid in the straw hat is up for the fight, though," I reply, turning around and walking past the cute green bandana swordsman, who is looking at me in shock as I just keep walking down the slope as if I haven't just pissed off Black Cat Pirate Captain Kuro. "Oh well, I'll live." "Very well. Django, please take care of Miss Kaya," Kuro orders the man in a blue hat as he moves his hands. "She will write the will as planned." I look over my shoulder to see the blonde named Kaya, who looks at Kuro in fear and shock. "Then kill her. And the 3 ants over there are an eyesore." I clench my fists in anger at the thought of the children getting hurt. I have a soft spot for children, even as an assassin. I look at Luffy, who nods slightly, agreeing with my plan to stop Django from getting those boys and the girl, Kaya. "Understood," Django agrees, not even hesitating at his former captain's orders. If Luffy ever asked me to murder 4 people, I would question him entirely or anyone who asked me. That may be my job as an assassin, but I don't call it murder. I call it an assassination in any way. Most of the people I killed deserved it in one way or another because they're the only cases I take on. Django steps towards the swordsman, but he blocks his path with one of the swords in his hands, making the man stop. "Stop," the swordsman orders in a gruff, SXY voice. "I won't let you pass me." I admire his resolve as he looks worn down from a previous fight. I know I must protect the kids and Kaya, and I need to get them before Django can. "Butchie," Django shouts and turns his head slightly to the left to a big guy dressed as a cat wrestler, seeming eager to get the swordsman again. Butchie jumps high into the sky. "That is lame." "Cat kill." "Stump," Butchie screams, getting ready to take the swordsman down as he gets closer, and the green bandana man seems worried about the oncoming attack. "That again," the swordsman shouts, dodging out of the way in time as Butchie lands on the space, demolishing the ground into rubble. The ground shakes as I try to keep my balance as the rock beneath my feet breaks into pieces. Dust flies into the air, covering the immediate area. I try looking around as I stand, seeing the swordsman in a crouch, ready for an attack. A large hand with long claws strikes out of the dust cloud towards the swordsman's side, but he moves to the side with his sword, taking the hit as I hear the clink from the strike. The cat heavyweight wrestler pushes the green bandana man back into the side of the cliffside with significant force, making more debris fly. The dust clears to find the swordsman with his foot in Butchie's face as he tries to keep him away. In all the confusion, Django walks calmly and steadily up the slope past Usopp, who notices. Kaya. Usopp shouts, straining from his beaten form. I know I need to make my move to get Kaya and those kids. I look down at Luffy as he stands, waiting for Kuro to make a move when Usopp calls out. Usopp pirate crew. It's loud enough to hear but still strained, and they get the message. Listen to me, he tells them, raising his voice. We won't run away, one of them argues, not getting how much danger they're in. He's gone too far, another yells down to their captain. We'll have our revenge. Protect Kaya. Usopp orders his friends, he really does have a big heart. The three kiddies seem shocked as they stay quiet from their beloved captain's request. Listen carefully, I will now give the M to you guys. Get Kaya away from here, don't say you can't, because protecting what we cherish most as men is the reason why we formed this pirate crew. He gives a moving declaration, and I know I have to move. Even if Django has stopped, for now, he is going to start moving now. I nod to Luffy, who nods back at me, and I turn around, facing the ascending slope, and take a calm walk up, passing the swordsman and Butchie in a standoff towards the kids and Kaya. I get closer to Usopp, who looks up at me, unknowing of my motives but seems to put some trust in me. Father like son, I guess. This is Captain's order, Usopp shouts. Aye, Captain. The boys shout, feeling happy that their captain trusts them enough, and dash towards the fragile girl. Kaya, hurry. Come, this way. This way. The boys run off into the forest with Kaya, giving them an advantage over me and Django. Seems I'll have to just get to the killing now, I remark, shocking everyone but Luffy, who's always too dense. He knows I mean Django, but that is yet to be known to the others. Usopp tries grabbing my leg to stop me, but I'm too far away, and I take out my red leather dragon claw gauntlets strapped to my leather pants. I tighten the straps slowly around my wrists, using the suspense before dashing forward, using my demon speed to drive my elbow into Django's back, making him fly onto the ground. You bitch, Django sneers at me, turning his head first, then his body to face me, and goes to attack me, but Kuro snaps. I know you are, but what am I joke, smirking. Hurry up and get them, you idiot, Kuro orders his first mate with a glare, looking over his shoulder at his crew member. Django falters briefly before obeying his captain's orders and turns around from us. Fine. Django snaps and walks off. I hear another set of footsteps coming from the bottom of the slope moving towards us, and I turn around to see Luffy walking up the hill with a determined look on his youthful face, which makes him seem almost grown up. It's useless. I know exactly how bad Miss Kaya's condition is. She won't be able to escape Django. You might want to go after them, if you can walk past this slope, that is, Kuro declares, looking at Usopp with his shoulder, leaning back with a menacing look. He looks up at the sky while saying this to Usopp, still lying motionless. Butchie, he calls out while trying to get to the swordsman in their struggle. You've already lost to me once, the swordsman states, looking up at the large man with shadowed eyes. Didn't I tell you not to bother me anymore? He asks Butchie, but the cat wrestler doesn't seem to listen to the swordsman. Out of my way. He yells, kicking the cat wrestler under the chin and knocking him back. The swordsman gets out his two remaining swords, puts one into his mouth, and lunges towards Butchie. The swordsman slices in an X motion at the man, hitting his mark. Butchie gasps from the pain, blood gushing out of the two long wounds down his chest. The fight has finished for now as Butchie flies in the air from the hit over the swordsman. Luffy stops in his steps, looking up at the swordsman, who expertly flips his swords upwards, then throws the sheath into the air, and they come back down as he holds out two more sheaths in his left and right hand. The swords land perfectly inside, with quite a bit of showmanship, and then Butchie falls to the ground behind the swordsman. I smirk, looking at the defeated form of the large man and turning, seeing the disappointed look on Kuro's face. Usopp struggles to reach his feet when cries come from the forest, with birds dispersing into the sky from the forest like something spooked them. What was that? Usopp questions, seeming worried for his friends and Kaya. Who knows, Django's got them covered. Maybe you should take a look for yourself. However, you may be too late already, Kuro retorts, not caring, and Usopp grits his teeth as he tries harder to get to his feet. "You bastard, you've been living under the same roof for 3 years, don't you have any compassion for her?" Usopp asks the pirate captain, shaking slightly from the pain and anger. "None," he says quickly without emotion. "Like I said, Kaya is only part of my plan. After her death, I might then thank her." He says it so coldly. I'm even in shock at what this pirate is saying, and I'm an assassin and pirate. Yeah, maybe I've heard things far worse than this in my time, but it still leaves me shocked. "Why you?" Usopp spits out, glaring up at Kuro. "Hopeless bastard," the swordsman sneers, looking up at the two of them. I stand just in front of him and Luffy, both at the side of the slope. "I didn't plan to save him in the first place," Luffy states, his teeth bare, looking angrier than before. "Usopp," he shouts up to the fallen boy, who is gaining his attention. "You go with them and look for him. Leave everything here to us." "Man, he's already giving me orders. So rude," I pout, looking at my baby brother. "Leave it to us." The swordsman agrees with Luffy, and I look at Usopp and see him looking down at them in shock. Then, it turns into determination as he tries to get up again. I'm growing impatient and try to walk over to Usopp. But Luffy stops me from moving as he lands a hand on my shoulder with a look. "Oh, you can still move?" Kuro questions, making me narrow my eyes at him and then step forward. "Not bad." Luffy stops me again with his arm stretching as I try to move. "Shut up." Usopp snaps at him, shaking slightly as he tries to stand up. "I won't let you have your way. You dare betray the villagers and Kaya's feelings. Do you think you can simply do as you please?" Usopp takes a step forward but falters forward, landing on the ground. "Usopp!" Luffy shouts, worrying about his new friend. Usopp lies with his face to the side, seeming more determined than ever. "Damn, I can't move a limb," Usopp states in a shaking voice from the pain, and Kuro starts laughing to himself and then gives out a loud laugh at the long-nosed teen. "You really amuse me," Kuro muses. "I betrayed them? Are you kidding me? Everything was planned. This isn't like playing some pirate game where you go around pretending to be the captain. So stay put and don't move. Well, if you do manage to catch up with Django, you're no match for him. You'd be much safer here." The pirate captain taunts him. Kuro is getting on my nerves, and I am more than a match for the weirdo. Even if I can't, I want to protect, I still want to protect them, for I am the captain of the Usopp pirate crew. I am a brave warrior of the sea. I won't allow you to lay a single finger on any of the villagers, Usopp shouts passionately with such determination that leaves a short silence when the Black Cat pirates erupt. What's he up to? What's he yelling for? Yeah, look, he's crying. After saying these things, they begin laughing at the brave Usopp, who is trying to save his village. What a bunch of pathetic losers, I mutter grimly, looking at the laughing pirates with no souls. I see the look in Luffy's eyes, seeing that it's the same for him. Before I can do anything, Luffy grabs a large piece of rock and holds it above his head before throwing it down at the laughing pirates, casting a sizable shadow over them. The sorry excuse for pirates seems too busy laughing to notice the incoming boulder as it crashes down on them, making them scramble to escape. Luffy jumps onto the top of the rock, looking down at the pathetic puss on the ground, looking up at him as my baby brother glares down at them. What's so funny? Luffy growls with gritted teeth and a glare to match Satan. The pirates look up at him, shaking in fear, making me smile with pride at him. I know he has it covered, so I take the swordsman by his shirt and walk up to Usopp, and the green bandana man takes the boy over his shoulder. "Luffy," I call down to him, gaining his attention. "We'll take Usopp and go after the hypnotist," the swordsman promises, not even looking at Luffy. "Any problems?" he asks about his tone. "Nope. Get going." Luffy agrees, giving us his precious permission, and we leave, going up the slope. "Sorry," Usopp apologizes, looking at us on the swordsman's shoulder. "It would have been faster if I'd gone alone." The swordsman digs at us. I look at him, annoyed, feeling the same way. "But without your help through the forest, I won't be able to find them," he says, seeming to admit he needs Usopp's help. "Speak for yourself," I tease, smirking at the boys, who look back at me as we walk past Kuro, who stands at the top of the slope. "Hey, you fools, who gave you permission to get past this slope?" Kuro snaps at us, seeming like he's about to attack us. "That would be me," Luffy shouts, stretching his arm out to the top and distracting Kuro by going for his head. Kuro dodges out of the way to his right. Go! Zoro, Usopp. Dakota! He shouts up at us. One more punch. Luffy retracts his body, flying towards Kuro. But he vanishes out of the way as Luffy approaches the Black Cat captain and stops at the top with a few missteps. We make it into the forest. But the swordsman known as Zoro is already getting lost. See, in the forest, I hear a commotion ahead and start running, with Usopp giving Zoro directions while he keeps getting lost. Hey, east, go east. Usopp instructs, aggravated as I try directing the swordsman to go the right way. I said east, didn't you hear me? He grumbles as we run in a different direction. How should I know? Zoro retorts, getting frustrated. Just say left or right. Then, go the other way, go to the left, I tell him, getting more frustrated at this well-built swordsman. The other way? He questions, looking at me in shock. Yes. I can smell their scents that way, I retort, pointing in the direction I smell them. Let's go. I argue, pulling him in the right direction, and we continue to run, but this time in the right direction. See, we finally get close enough to hear the three kids shouting for the girl, and Usopp perks up, listening to his friends trying to protect the girl from danger. Django seems to have found them. Found him? Usopp shouts and keeps repeating it while hitting Zoro's wounds on his chest, making the swordsman grit his teeth in pain. I'm wounded there, Zoro warns him when we come to a stop. Over there, I shout, pointing across from us to see Django about to kill Kaya. Before Zoro can even move, I speed over to the two, but Django notices me as I run over to him. Shit, she found us. Django growls with annoyance, looking at me as I approach him. Kaya struggles, turning her head to the side to get a better look at me. The three kids gape as I get closer in shock, and Django does something stupid. It seems like I have to end this quickly. He moves his blade higher, getting ready to kill Kaya, time to die. I won't let that happen. The brats exclaim in courage and dash towards him with spades in their hands, striking Django in the ass. Django yells in pain from the impact, but it soon turns into anger as the pain begins to subside, and he turns around to face the brats. You damn brats! The first mate growls, gritting his teeth and kicking the boys onto the ground with force, but I get close enough now and ready with my claws. You're too late, redhead. Django smirks as he grabs Kaya again, but I knew she'd be fine. I don't think so, ugly, I snap, continuing to run towards him and slice a branch to my right, giving Usopp, who's with a very unhappy Zoro, a better advantage in shooting the loser. What? Django gapes, looking worried for himself, and Kaya smiles. Usopp, Kaya whispers, looking at him happily as I give a slight smirk to the so-called hypnotist. Usopp takes his time reading his shot, making Django tighten his grip on Kaya. Usopp, she strains, looking over at him. Captain! The kids exclaim in happiness at seeing their idol. Special technique. Gunpowder star, Usopp exclaims, releasing his slingshot, and it hits Django in the face, exploding on impact, making his glasses fly off and shatter, leaving him unconscious. Well, that was eventful, I state, taking off my gauntlets as I talk. I mean, I didn't even get to kill him. Well, I'm not getting paid, so no harm done. I turn my head, seeing the swordsman, Zoro, take off his bandana, revealing green hair as he ties the material around his left arm. He looks at me, seeming suspicious of me. I wouldn't blame him as we see Usopp with Kaya and the kids before walking back to the slope with Luffy. See, we make it back to the slope to see Luffy lying on the ground with his hat covering his face with a strawberry blonde beside him. I sit opposite him, taking my father's old straw hat from him, making him look at me and give his usual goofy smile as I put the straw hat on my head, smiling down at him. I hear footsteps approaching and turn to see Usopp approaching us, seeming happier now that the threat to his village has gone. Thanks. Without you guys, I wouldn't have been able to protect this village, Usopp says, thanking us, though it seems the other and himself did more than me as I didn't get to the island till after all the action started. But I don't mind getting thanks for small favors. What are you babbling about? Zoro asks him. If you didn't risk your own life for this, I wouldn't have done anything at all. Same here, Luffy agrees, but I know that isn't the complete truth for him. He always helps everyone, not just for minor reasons. Something has to matter for Luffy to get invested. All that doesn't matter now, the ginger-haired teen gleams, holding a large bag of gold in her arms. snuggling into it. "I've got my treasure now." Usopp seems happy with that and laughs, then stops looking up at the ocean before us. "Thanks to this incident, I've finally decided upon something," Usopp announces, looking soulfully at the vast ocean behind us. "Huh?" Luffy questions, looking up at Usopp confused, but he doesn't tell us as he walks off, leaving us all a little confused. "Well, as interesting as this is, I have a few things to get done. Bye," I chirp as I get to my feet and walk away, but feel the other two looking at my back, seeming confused by my presence and suspicion. See, I walk around the small village after finishing my business at the post office and collect my pay from my last job. And as I walk around, I notice Luffy and his two crewmates walking with Kaya. Luffy notices and waves me over, shouting out as I walk closer. "Dakota, come on. Let's go." He keeps shouting until I reach him, and we walk with Kaya in the lead. Seems I missed something interesting while I was busy. See, we come down to the beach side to see a man with fluffy white hair, kinda like a sheep, in a suit standing before a sheep with a sheep figurehead, and it is beautiful. I gush along with the others at the sight of the beauty of a vessel before us. A caravel. The strawberry blonde teen gleams, looking at the ship. "Is this really for us?" Luffy asks the man with his arms to the side in surprise. "Yes, please accept it," Kaya says in a slightly pleading tone as she smiles at us kindly, along with the man. "Although it is somewhat old-fashioned, I was the one who designed it," the man announces. "This ship's frame and its triple-mast sails are all part of a stern-centered control system. I call it, Going Merry. Let me brief you on how to operate it. First, how to turn it on and adjust the power," he continues, but the ginger interrupts him, jumping in front of Luffy with her arms stretched out. "Ah, no, she exclaims in slight worry. "You only need to tell me how to operate the ship." Luffy takes no offense as he walks towards the ship, seeming happier the more he looks at it. "Sure is a nice ship," Luffy compliments. "The figurehead of the ship is so cool. I see my little sailboat near the ship and walk over, get my bag of supplies and clothes and walk back around to the others. I've prepared everything that's needed to set sail aboard the ship," Kaya announces, smiling. "Thank you, that's really thankful of you," Luffy gleams, thinking, aboard the ship. I smack him over the head. "It's really thoughtful of you, you numbskull," I scold him as he cowers before me, looking up at me as he rubs his head. "Didn't Makino teach you anything?" I hear screaming and look to see Usopp, with a large backpack on, rolling down the hill towards us. He knocks into the side of the slope, pinballing off the sides down the ground. "Usopp," Kaya exclaims, worried for her hero, as he comes rolling towards us faster. "What's he up to?" he questions, looking up at him, confused. "Anyways, let's just stop him," Zoro argues, looking with his arms crossed. He's heading straight for the ship. As Usopp gets closer, Zoro and Luffy lift their feet, stopping the heat but getting Usopp in the face. "Thanks," Usopp mutters, looking at them with slight pain. Luffy, being a dope, accepts the thanks. I shake my head at him and walk off, looking at the ship again. We get onto the ship, getting ready to set sail and let Usopp have his goodbye with Kaya when he shouts up to us. "You guys, take care too. I'll see you again someday." "Why?" Luffy asks him, confused as we look down at Usopp from the ship railing. "Why, you're really slow, aren't you? I'll be a pirate just like you, so we might meet on the sea one day," he declares, looking confused at Luffy. "What are you talking about?" Zoro asks him, pointing to the ship as he leans against the railing, looking over his shoulder at Usopp. "Hurry up and get on. We're already comrades," Luffy declares, shocking Usopp as he stares at us in his hawk. "See, Captain, I'm the captain." Usopp cheers, jumping into the air with his fist as he beams. "Don't be stupid. I'm the captain," he argues. The rest of us laugh at their antics, and the other two join us in the laughter. We take the sails down, getting ready to leave, and the wind hits the sail, allowing us to venture off into the vast sea ahead. See, after our victory at the slope and gaining a new ship and crewmates, we sail out into open waters near Gecko Island, where Luffy decides to celebrate. To our new ship and new friends. Luffy cheers, and we clash our tankards of alcohol together in our little circle. "Cheers," we exclaim, smiling, but it soon sobers up as Zoro looks at me suspiciously. I knew this was coming sooner or later. "Who are you anyway?" Zoro asks me, looking me dead in the eye, and the other two did the same as I just smile. Then gulp down some of my beer. Then put my tankard down and look at them, smirking. Why, I'm Dakota's Pav. Luffy's older sister, Dakota. I beam, smiling at them and seeing the shock on their faces part from Luffy, who laughs as my smile turns into a smirk. My full name is Dakota LaRue, I add, and they seem to see the difference in appearance and name. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I have vibrant red hair, while Luffy has raven black hair. I have unusually cool purple eyes, and Luffy has normal and dull brown eyes. Man, are they slow? Yeah, Dakota's my big sister, Luffy beams, looking at me. We grew up together after her dad and his crew came to visit my village. He exclaims, gigging as our captain claps his hands together. The three crew members shake out of their panic, and Usopp looks at me as if the pieces finally click together. Wait, who is your father? Usopp asks me, looking at my bright red hair. Why, red-haired Shanks, of course, I reply, turning serious before breaking into another smile. Can't you tell from the awesome hair? I jest, looking at him and seeing the shock on the others' faces as the information sinks in. Thinking about that, it was so long ago when my dad and I visited Dawn Island and met Luffy. It's been a while, hasn't it, Luffy? I muse, looking at my little brother, who smiles broadly at me. Yeah, see, flashback. 11 years ago, like always, I was sailing the seas with my dad, Shanks, and his crew on my parents' ship, the Red Force, when Dad decided to go to the East Blue on a whim. He called it a holiday, but to me, every day felt like one, though that might be biased as the youngest person on the ship, who doesn't do proper pirate work as a miner nor an apprentice. Uncle Ben just said, what the captain wants, he gets, like we were just getting supplies from a nearby island. I wasn't small for my age. I may have been 10 years old, but I was already 5 feet 2 inches, but that didn't mean my dad wasn't overprotective of me ever since my mother was murdered on our ship 6 years ago. Dad was super overprotective, meaning guards outside my bedroom every night like I couldn't protect myself with my daily training, and there always had to be someone with me if I was anywhere on the ship if I wasn't with him. Even as my dad walked in front of me as we left the Red Force, he would stop every 10 seconds before glancing swiftly to his left and right. My uncles and aunts would just sigh in annoyance as they waited on the dock, as my dad did this for the 1000th time. Still, once we got to the bottom of the pier, he used his cloak as a shield and hugged me to his chest for, as Dad said, protection from the unknown, but I knew he meant boys or enemies like Marines. I knew Dad was just trying to protect me, but it gets boring after a while, especially when I've been training daily. See, flashback. 10 years ago we'd spent nearly a year around the East Blue waters but mainly stayed at Dawn Island in the nice little village called Fuchsia Village. We, as usual, were inside the party's bar, a nice little place with excellent drinks and food, though not as gourmet as our ship's cooks, but it's good enough. When we arrived in Fuchsia Village, we met Luffy, a whiny 6-year-old with jet black hair who lived in the village without any known parents and hung out at the bar with the bar owner, Makino. She was a beautiful dark green-haired woman who was a fantastic cook, and Dad seemed smitten with her almost, which I could tell he felt guilty about because of me and Mom. See, one day, a 7-year-old Luffy complained again about coming out to sea with my dad and his crew. Luffy was talking about how tough he was, which was a load of rubbish as he was a little crybaby half the time, which made me think of someone I'd like to forget because the memories are too hard to relive. My family was currently on the ship, watching Luffy as he stood on the dragon-like figurehead with a dagger in his hand while giving a declaration again. Hey, Luffy, what are you trying to do? Dad asked him, watching with a broad smirk. I'm really serious, Luffy shouted down at us as he raised the dagger into the air. I'm so pissed. I'm gonna prove it to you. But Dad wasn't taking it seriously like always, and he just laughed at him while the rest of us watched. Yeah, do it, he encouraged the dummy. Idiot. I don't know what you're gonna do though. Knowing Luffy, it'll be something childish, I commented, smiling, knowing Luffy'd get annoyed at what I'd said, but he just looked more determined and lowered the dagger to his face with it pointed directly at him. This made all of us dead silent, wondering what Luffy would do next. When suddenly, he jabbed himself with the dagger on his left cheek right under his eye, making us gasp in shock and Luffy shout out in pain. You idiot! What are you doing? Dad yelled at the now crying and injured young boy. Get something to stop the blood, I shouted, running towards Luffy. "You little dummy." I pulled my jacket off, holding it to Luffy's bloody cheek as he cried. "Why would you do something like that?" See, after Luffy calmed down and the blood stopped a little more, we took him back to the party's bar with Makino, who cleaned and sewed the cut, and Luffy was his usual self again, sort of as he looked as if he was trying not to cry again. "Cheers, guys." My aunts and uncles toasted with their tankards raised. To Luffy's guts and our great journey. Uncle Jago cheered as the others happily drank and ate, filling the bar with boisterous cheers. "Cheers." They cheered as the others tried to eat and drink. Dad and I sat at the bar, with Luffy sitting between us as we ate. "Oh, it didn't hurt at all." Luffy lied as tears were threatening to spill from his eyes. "That's a lie. Don't do such a stupid thing," Dad scolded him. "It's not a lie," Luffy argued back, which was just stupid. "I'm not scared of getting hurt." He pleaded again with my dad, but it wouldn't work. "Take me on your next voyage. I want to be a pirate too." "As if you could ever be a pirate," he told the kid with a smile on his face. "It's a fatal flaw for a pirate to be an anchor." He referred to the fact that Luffy can't swim, though he wasn't a devil fruit user at that point. "I'll be okay as long as I don't fall out of the ship," the boy argued and then glanced at me. "Also, Dakota can't swim either, and she goes with you." He jumped off his stool and clenched his little fists. "Yeah, but I'm the captain's daughter, and he's too protective of me," I reasoned, looking over at him. "Yeah, well, I'm good at fighting too. I'm well trained, so my punches are like a pistol," Luffy declared as he gave a punch, but Dad wasn't impressed. "Pistols? Oh, really?" Dad asked with no enthusiasm as usual as he teased Luffy some more. "What's that mean?" He yelled at my dad, offended by him again. They were always like that. "Luffy," my uncles called out to him, gaining the boy's attention as he looked at them as they approached us. "You're in such a bad mood," Uncle Sean asked as he and some others joined and stood by the bar. "Have fun at whatever you're doing," Uncle Usopp exclaimed, again too drunk like the rest of the crew. "Yes. Being a pirate is fun," Uncle Roo added, grinning and enjoying his food. "The sea is broad and vast," Uncle B gleamed, taking another gulp of beer. "We're traveling various islands," Uncle Duke said, then Uncle Sean kicked Uncle Tepe in the face. "Above all, we're free, uncles, don't teach him such silly stuff," I scolded them as I stood before them with my hands on my hip. And they bowed their heads to me, though they didn't look as guilty as they should. "Sorry, princess, but it's the truth. Right?" Uncle Roo sulked, ripping into more food. "Princess, why not take him on just one voyage?" Uncle Dai asked me. "I think so too," Uncle Rain agreed, making Luffy more excited, but Dad and I wouldn't have it. Luffy was way too young to sail with us. "Then somebody trade places with him," Dad replied, not even looking at his crewmates, but that seemed to sober them all up a little. "Okay, we're done talking. Let's drink," my uncles walking back to drinking from their tankards. "Didn't you side with me?" Luffy snapped at them, getting angry, gritting his teeth together. "In short, you're too much of a kid," Dad teased him. But I was only 5 years older than him as I was only 11, nearly 12 at the time. "I'll consider it when you're 10 years older." That was how my brothers and I decided when to leave the island ourselves, as Luffy was only 7 then. "Stupid Shanks. I'm not a kid," he snapped at my dad, growing frustrated with him. "I told you, I'm not a child." Now, don't get so mad. Have some juice," Dad coaxed him, but it was too late to warn the boy as he rushed over, gleefully accepting the offer. "Wow. Thanks," Luffy beamed, grabbing the mug of orange juice and taking large gulps, making Dad turn around laughing. "See, you are a kid," he bellowed in laughter, slapping the bar. "That wasn't fair, Shanks," the raven-haired boy barked back but gave up and walked off with his juice. "I'm tired now," he huffed, nearing Uncle Ben and my stool. "Luffy, you gotta try to understand how boss feels," Uncle Ben advised the kid as he lit his cigarette. "First mate," Luffy gaped and looked up at him. There's no denying that he's the head of a pirate group. He knows how tough and dangerous being a pirate is more than anybody. He told Luffy that I knew he was talking about my mother, Anna, and what had happened to her because my dad had been a pirate his whole life. "Don't you see? It's not like he wants to break your spirit." "No, I don't. Shanks is just making fun of me," Luffy snorted in disbelief. "Anchor," Dad called out for Luffy. See, he snapped, turning around and pointing at Dad again. I guess you're having fun as usual, Makino commented as she looked at Dad, and he turned on his stool with his elbows propped on the bar. Yeah, I like teasing him, Dad agreed with a slight smirk. Luffy, do you want to eat something too? She asked him, turning to look at the small kid. Uh-huh. Put it on my treasure tab. Luffy cheered, raced to the bar again, and hopped onto the bar stool between Dad and me. The treasure tab again? That's fraud, you know, Dad remarked, looking at him as if he could talk. No, it's not. Once I become a pirate and find a treasure, I'll pay for it, he argued, thinking pretty simply. I'm counting on it. Makino just laughed it off as she cleaned a glass, and Luffy laughed with her and began eating. Shanks, the kid asked, glancing at my dad. What? Dad answered while he and Luffy both ate. How much longer are you gonna stay in this village? Luffy asked him while trying to eat the piece of meat. Let's see, we're gonna go on a couple of voyages then leave this village to head north, Dad replied, shrugging. A couple of voyages, huh? He mused, seeming disappointed at that. Both Makino and I noticed but just smiled to encourage the small boy. I'll practice swimming while you're here, he changed his tune. That's good. Knock yourself out. Dad praised, but once he said this, somebody kicked the door to the bar. I turned around to see the door lying on the floor, and the bar full of rowdy pirates was dead quiet. In the doorway were some rough-looking men, most likely bounty hunters or bandits. Pardon us. So these are pirates, look pretty damn dumb, the leader insulted the crew, but they did nothing as the bandits walked over to the bar moving Dad out of the way. We're mountain bandits. But we ain't here to tear up the place. Sell us some booze, he demanded from Makino. I'm sorry. I just ran out of alcohol, Makino apologized, but the bandit leader didn't seem to believe her and turned to look at the crew. These pirates seem to be drinking something. What is it, water? He questioned, pointing over his shoulder. No, what they're drinking is the last of it, she explained politely. My apologies. Looks like we drank the whole place. Dad apologized as well. You can have this if you'd like. It hasn't been opened yet. The only answer Dad got was that the bandit hit the bottle with his right hand, smashing it over him. There was a mix of reactions. Makino and Luffy were shocked. The bandit losers were pleased, and the crew and I were passive. Hey, you bastard. Who do you think I am? One bottle ain't even enough for a bedtime drink. The mountain bandit leader scolded Dad, looking down at him as Dad had alcohol dripping down him and soaked into his clothes and straw hat. The floor's all wet, Dad complained, being sort of selfless. Look at this, the leader snapped, holding up a wanted poster with his mug on it with a measly 8 million bounty. Mine was just more than double, and I was only 11. There's an 8 million berries bounty on my head. He boasted, inflating his ego. I've killed 56 people. They were all impudent like you. So be careful hereafter. But since we're in the mountains and you're on the sea, I don't think we'll see each other again. Dad wasn't even paying him any mind as he got off his stool and picked up the pieces of broken glass. Sorry about that, Makino. Do you have a rag? Dad asked her, glancing at Makino. Oh, I'll do that, Makino told him, and the bandit leader got ignored, which didn't sit well with him as he grabbed the hilt of his sword and unleashed it, hitting the bar and making the plates of food fly off the bar onto Dad and the floor. Dad got knocked back slightly, and I jumped down, escaping the broken materials flying in the air, but one hit my cheek, giving me a small cut. It wouldn't last because of my devil fruit, but I could feel the blood leaking down my cheek. Seems you like to clean. Then maybe you'll find this more fulfilling, the leader jeered, looking down at Dad with a giant smirk, hoping for a reaction. Everyone was on edge, waiting to see what Dad would do, but he did nothing, and the bandit leader gave up, put his sword away, and left the bar. Later, wimps. The bandits all laughed as they left the bar, and Makino and I dashed over to Dad's side to check him out. Captain, are you all right? Makino questioned, looking him over for any injuries. Dad, you're not hurt, are you? I asked him, looking him over. Oh, no problem at all, Dad declared and then began laughing, and the rest of the crew joined in with their captain. Dummies, I thought, joining in with the laughter, knowing it was the best way, but I put my hand to the closing cut to my cheek to hide it from my dad, knowing his mood would change in a heartbeat. Talk about lame, boss, Uncle Roo chuckled, holding his ample belly. "He got you good," Uncle Yasop joked, joining in with a jab at Dad, who took his hat off, still laughing. "Why are you laughing?" Luffy demanded to know, not getting the reason whatsoever. "That was so uncool. Why didn't you fight them? You're not men or pirates if you laugh after something like that." "I can understand how you feel, but he only spilt booze on me," Dad explained calmly as he put his hat back on. "It's nothing worth getting mad over." Luffy didn't seem to understand then and turned around, walking off. "Hey, wait, Luffy." Dad grabbed Luffy's arm, but Luffy continued walking off with his arms stretching out behind him. "I've had it, I don't want to be a coward like you," he seethed, and it seemed to dawn on the both of them as they looked at Luffy's arm, and the crew all spit out their drinks. "His arm stretches," Dad exclaimed in shock. "Don't tell me you," Uncle Dai exclaimed as we looked on in disbelief. "What's going on?" Luffy screamed, his eyes bugging out, almost shooting out of his head. "It's gone," Uncle Ru announced, looking into the tiny treasure box where we'd kept the Gum Gum Devil fruit. "What?" the others yelled, circling Uncle Ru and looking at the empty treasure chest. "The Gum Gum fruit that we robbed from our enemy. Luffy, don't tell me you ate a fruit like this," he shrieked, holding up a picture of the said fruit. "I did, it tasted so bad," Luffy replied honestly, nodding slightly. "The Gum Gum fruit is a hidden treasure of the sea, known as a devil fruit. It eats a rubber and makes you lose the ability to swim for the rest of your life. Like Dakota." Dad explained that it was almost the same speech he had given me when I ate the human fruit, model, demon. "Eh? No way," he wailed, his jaw hitting the ground and tears falling from his eyes. "You dumbass." Dad scolded him loudly as I shook my head in disappointment. I planned on selling it and getting a present for Dad's birthday next month. "Wait, Dakota ate one too." The raven-haired boy finally caught on, and Dad looked at me, seeing me cupping my bleeding cheek, though it had stopped. "I ate the human fruit, model, demon, also known as the devil fruit, making me a devil girl," I informed him, smiling. "Yeah, Dakota is the littlest devil you'll ever meet," Uncle Dai laughed, but not everyone was in the mood to agree. "Hey," I protested with a pout, making them laugh as Dad grabbed my hand, pulling it away from my cheek, showing the blood trickling down. "Dakota, what happened?" Dad asked, making my family stop. "It's nothing," I assured him. "I'm okay." "That's not the point, Dakota," he argued, grabbing a cloth and wiping away the blood. I could see in his eyes that he felt guilty about it, but I was okay. I didn't see the problem. "But I'm okay, Dad," I muttered. See, a few days later, we went out to sea for a little voyage around Dawn Island, and when we returned, no one greeted us at the port like usual, so we got suspicious and went looking for the others to find Luffy getting bullied by the mountain bandits. The leader held Luffy down with his foot on the kid's head, and others circled the two with the mayor and Makino facing away from us. No one came to greet us at the port, so I wondered why. "They're the mountain bandits from before," Dad inquired, looking at them and gaining everyone's attention. "Captain," Makino exclaimed in relief as he walked between them. "Luffy, I thought your punches were as strong as pistols?" he teased the kid a little. "Shut up," Luffy cursed, looking up at Dad from under the bandit's foot. "So, you pirates are still here, huh?" the leader questioned with disgust, and Dad walked towards them. "You'd best leave before you get hurt," Dad warned the bandits as he walked closer to them. "Any closer and he'll shoot your head off, wimp," he warned Dad as he continued to walk over to them. He said no closer, "Don't make me blow your head off," one of the bandits warned Dad and raised his pistol to the side of Dad's head. "Now that you've drawn your pistol, are you prepared to put your life on the line?" Dad recited, looking at the bandit from the corner of his eye. "What the hell are you talking about?" the bandit asked Dad, looking agitated. "I'm saying those aren't for threatening people," he argued, pointing to the pistol at his head as Uncle Ru sneaked up behind the bandit and shot him in the head, causing the bandit to fall to the ground, revealing the rest of the crew behind Dad. "And now you've done it," another bandit exclaimed, glaring at the pirates. "These bastards fight dirty." "Dirty?" Uncle Yasop questioned, looking at them bored with his arms crossed. "Cut the crap. You think you're dealing with saints or something?" Uncle Ben asked them. "You're looking at pirates," Dad told them with no mercy in his voice. "Shut up. You got nothing to do with this in the first place." a bandit spits, butting into the discussion. Listen, bandits. Whether I'm splattered with alcohol or food, most of the time, I'll just laugh and forget about it. But, no matter what the reason, anyone who hurts my friends or daughter has to pay. Dad scowled with a dark look in his eyes. Shanks, Luffy muttered, looking up at Dad with disbelief. Luffy seemed shocked, but the leader of the mountain bandits just laughed at him. Has to pay, huh? The mountain bandit leader jabbed at Dad. Lousy pirates. Kill them, men. He ordered his men, and they cheered, raising their swords before running towards us. Uncle Ben walked forward, taking his pistol in hand. I'll handle this. Should be easy enough, Uncle Ben claimed. He aimed his pistol at the bandits and took a drag of his cigarette. Come on, come on. A bandit yelled as they ran over to him and went to strike, but Uncle Ben just moved out of the way slightly and put his cigarette on his forehead. The bandit fell back onto the ground, yelling in pain, and Uncle Ben took the other bandits down. Don't get cocky, bandit, Uncle Ben sneered, holding his pistol out towards him with one hand and with the other lighting his cigarette again. If you want to fight us, then go drag a warship here or something, he provoked. So strong, Luffy muttered in amazement at the crew's strength. Unbelievable. Makino marveled at the sight before her. Hold on, the kid attacked us, the leader argued, deflecting and trying to run. You're a wanted man anyway, Dad retorted, but the bandit leader was too frightened and threw a smokescreen, making it nearly impossible to see as he escaped. A smokescreen. Uncle Roo stated the obvious as we shielded our eyes from the smoke. Come with me, brat. We heard the leader order Luffy as they seemed to struggle with each other. Let go, Luffy cried out, and then he went quiet and the smoke cleared, just leaving the fallen bandits on the ground in front of us. Luffy, Dad started to panic. Crap, I let my guard down, Luffy's gone, what do we do now, guys? Quit freaking the hell out, boss, it won't take us long to find him, Uncle Roo tried calming my hysterical father. I can't believe this guy, Uncle Ben muttered to himself, but I still heard him. Dad had run off to find Luffy even faster after Makino had told us what Luffy had done to anger the mountain bandits. That idiot, I muttered, shaking my head and raced after my father with the crew behind me. See, we raced to the beach after hearing Luffy's scream and saw Dad and Luffy walking onto the beach. I ran over to Dad to see Luffy clutching onto Dad's shirt with tears flowing from his eyes. I'm sorry, Dakota, I didn't mean to, Luffy bawled, and then I noticed a red liquid dripping onto the sand. I looked at my dad's left arm, it was missing. Daddy, where's your arm? I began to try clutching my dad's long leg as I hid my face in his stomach. Daddy, don't die. Since my mother died, I've never been very good with blood from people I cared about and feared they would die. Dad called it, inner demon. I'm not going to die, Dakota. It was just a sea monster that was going to eat Luffy, is all. Dad assured me, letting Luffy down, and picked me up with his only arm remaining as I clutched onto his shirt, tears falling down my cheeks rapidly at the thought of losing the only parent I had left as we walked back to the bar. See, a few days later, Dad got his arm treated by our ship's doctor, and we were about to set sail, leaving the small village for the Grand Line again and saying goodbye to Luffy for the final time. My mind was swirling as I thought about what would happen now. Shanks, aren't you gonna come back? Luffy asked him, still wanting to join them, I guess. No, it was a long stay, but now we part ways, Dad told him, not looking at the small boy. Yeah, I won't ask you to take me anymore, he replied, surprising most of us. I've decided to become a pirate on my own now. I wasn't gonna take you anyway, Dad smirked, turning to look at Luffy. You'll never be a pirate, he teased him. I will be. The raven-haired boy shouted at him in determination like always. Someday, I'm gonna gather a crew every bit as good as yours. And I'm gonna find the greatest treasure in the world. And I'm gonna be the king of the pirates, he declared with fierce determination. You're gonna surpass us, huh? Dad hummed and took hold of his precious straw hat and took it off. In that case, he placed it on Luffy's head, shocking us kids. I never thought I would see the day when my dad would let go of one of the most precious treasures he'd ever kept from his time as a young pirate. Ethu. It's dear to me like my daughter is to me. Luffy was sobbing heavily, and I went to leave with Dad, but he put his hand on my head, stopping me. Dakota, you heard Luffy. He wants to surpass my crew and me. Help him and grow up as strong as me and your mother." He was leaving me with Luffy without warning. Tears flowed down my cheeks as I saw his eyes glass up and the rest of the crew. He was leaving me here alone, just like her. "I promise, I'll look after Luffy and make sure he becomes the king of the pirates and avenge Mummy," I vowed then and there for everyone to hear. Dad looked shocked at me but knew he had no control over this and turned around, leaving me with a crybaby. "We'll come back and show you how strong we've become. Come bring it back to me someday. Once you've become a great pirate," Dad ordered and turned around to give us one last look. The red-haired pirates went aboard the Red Force, the place I'd called home for over 11 years. They said their goodbyes, some crying and hugging, mainly from them, before they set sail. I watched them disappear, feeling my heart grow heavy as Luffy clung to my hand as we looked at the dock. "Don't worry, Luffy. I'll train you for however many years it takes for you to become the strongest pirate," I vowed. "So you'll become the next king of the pirates." Luffy sniffled a little more and looked up at me, smiling widely. "Yeah," Luffy agreed, and over the next 5 years, I trained Luffy to become stronger, but I left when I turned 17 and began my little adventure. I left behind my little brothers. We may have become stronger, but we also became closer. Oh, I lost track, sorry. Here's the rest of the conversation. See, present. Your father is red-haired Shanks. Usopp exclaims before calming down and smiling at me. Then you know my dad? He looks at me, and I nod. Yep, Uncle Usopp, the man he loves testing his shooting skills and drinking. Then when he's drunk he'd talk about you. I reply, thinking fondly before turning to Luffy. Remember that time, Luffy, when you would grumble as he told you about Usopp, and he put a glass beer mug on your head? I laugh, making the others join in with their laughter while Luffy pouts, not liking my little jab. So you were close to my dad? He asks as the long-nosed man must have caught the Uncle Usopp part. Yeah, everyone on my dad's crew is my uncles and aunts, especially his first mate. He's my godfather, I tell them, smiling as I think about my family. Yeah, Ben Beckman's so serious, like all the time. Luffy laughs and falls back off the barrel onto the deck. So, Dakota, what did you do for the last 5 years? He asks me, as I am that much older than him, and my brothers and I all agreed when we were younger to leave the island to begin our adventures when we turned 17. Oh, you know, training, traveling, and getting assassination jobs which increased my bounty, which has skyrocketed, I tell them, checking my nails as if what I've said is normal. What? They exclaim in shock with their mouths agape. Even Luffy looks a little shocked at me. Well, once I left Dawn Island I set sail and just started doing odd jobs while I perfected my skills in the assassination business, and well, it's just carried on from there, and well, my bounty went higher since I was 11. I think it's around 30 million now. So what about you, Luffy? What have you been up to? I ask him, giving them little details. I may not always like lying, but telling people outright about my family on Furka's Island isn't something I like talking about. Luffy beams as he tells me about his adventures since setting sail from Fuchsia Village and how he met Zoro, Nami, and even Usopp, as it was before I joined them. He always knew how to find trouble and adventure. I sit with the others as we talk and notice the swordsman, Zoro, looking at me from the corner of my eye. I'm not here to kill any of you, I assure him, making the others glance between them. You don't even meet my requirements either, and you don't have bounties yet. Besides, I promised Luffy I'd join his crew once he became a pirate. I tell him and smirk. He seems content with my answer and goes back to drinking his booze. How many have you killed? The girl I now know as Nami asks me. Let me think. I think it's around 100 people. I believe anyway, the right number is on my bounty. I answer, and the look of shock is starting to get boring. So, where are we going now? Dakota's pav. It's been a few days since we left Gecko Island. We've been sailing further away. Obviously, I'm not entirely sure where we're heading as Nami is in charge, though I have a feeling the Going Merry is taking us to where we need to go. I feel pretty welcome on the ship. I share a room with Nami, as we're the only girls aboard the Going Merry, while Usopp, Luffy, and Zoro sleep in the cabin next door in hammocks. At the moment, everyone is doing their own thing on the small ship. Zoro is napping again. Nami is reading over maps. Usopp is staring out into the ocean, making up things in his own little world. And Luffy is goofing off. While I'm playing with my red cards. I like it here, at the moment it's peaceful. I'm wearing a yellow bikini top and denim shorts, showing off my rose-tattooed right shoulder and barely hiding the compass tattoo on my rib cage. I got them a few years back as a tribute to my mother and brother, as the roses were her favorite. I also wear my favorite black trilby hat in red, yellow, blue, and white beaded bracelets on my left arm that symbolize my brother's and mine's relationship and bond. I start playing solitaire while Usopp begins talking to himself. Foolish pirates. You still dare to attack the Going Merry knowing it's led by the great Captain Usopp? He jumps beside me, swinging the wooden stick he brought from below Usopp found earlier. The slight breeze he creates while swinging is beginning to ruin my game. A violent battle ensues. I swear, Usopp, you swing that stick around one more time, I will drown you in the ocean. I growl, making the long-nosed teen squeak and drop the stick with a clang, turning pale. My yelling seems to wake Zoro as he lets out a loud yawn. Hey, can't you guys pay some attention to people? He mutters, looking upset. It's done, Luffy exclaims, drawing everyone's attention and startling the already pale Usopp as our captain jumps up behind him, holding a square piece of black cloth. Luffy turns around, showing the black fabric with the most horrifying pirate flag attempt I have ever seen, but he just smiles, seeming pleased with himself. Look, it's our pirate flag. After Usopp and Sis joined us, we now have 5 people. So we need our own mark. The rest of us look at our so-called pirate mark with mixed feelings, all bad. That is, our mark? Zoro questions, looking at Luffy, who grins broadly, not seeming fazed by the terrible attempt. What do you think? Nice, isn't it? Luffy asks us, still giving us all a big grin. A pirate's flag is a symbol of death and terror, he replies, trying to explain the meaning of a pirate flag. I do feel the terror, but it's the terror of your talent, Nami argues. I know it won't hurt Luffy's feelings, but I don't like what she said, but still, she isn't wrong. Small children would just run off laughing, I muse, looking at the poor excuse of our pirate flag. You should have discussed it with me first. How can you forget this genius painter? Usopp pretends to scold us, smiling slightly, and almost seems over-proud of his abilities that he hasn't shown us yet. Genius painter? Luffy questions as we look at the long-nosed teen. I've had 50 years of experience painting on walls. When it comes to painting, no one does it better than me, the long-nosed teen boasts. We'll see about that, I muse, smirking. Incredible, 50 years. Luffy beams, buying into the apparent lie quickly due to being overly gullible. That means, you are an old man, Zoro mocks Usopp. He does look good for his age, I retort, smirking as I play along. Maybe he has 5 or 6 grandchildren already, Nami says, mocking Usopp for his outrageous lie. That's even more incredible, Luffy exclaims, falling further into the lie. Hey, Usopp snaps, slapping Luffy slightly and soon gets to work on our mark as I do the same. We both begin painting, grabbing more pieces of black fabric from below. Though I don't have my art supplies with me, I have to use what I've got now. Now, take a look at this masterpiece, Usopp announces after a while, holding up his version of a skull with a long nose and a slingshot. Tada! Who told you to make your own flag? Luffy snaps, glaring at Usopp, annoyed with him, and he and Zoro hit the long-nosed teen over the head. Yeah, well, that's nothing, I retort, smirking and showing them my masterpiece version of our pirate flag. I know Luffy will want it just for himself. The others look agape, and Luffy begins clapping excitedly, so I hand it over to him. It's yours, Luffy, but don't ruin it. I know he wants to keep it for himself. I know my brothers well. Come on, Usopp, let's do it properly now, I warn him lightly. Right, Usopp yells, and we begin painting again, coming up with the correct mark for our new pirate crew and showing it to the rest of us. Well, I guess it's something like this. Hey, this is pretty good. Nami marvels over the flag mark. That's good, I like it, Luffy agrees, still holding onto the flag I did for him in his hand. So, this is our mark from now on, eh? Zoro chimes in, crouching beside me. Okay. Usopp, paint this on the sail. Luffy orders him, pointing at the mainsail above us, and he looks up, too. I didn't know you could paint so well, Dakota, he compliments and looks up at me, and I smile back at the swordsman. There's more about me that you don't know yet, I reply, smirking and looking down at him. He seems at ease more around me since he released I'm an open book. If my new crewmates want to know anything about me, they only have to ask. There's no such thing as secrets among crew members. Usopp finally finishes the mark on our mainsail, and we admire it. Okay, it's finished. Now the pirate ship going merry is complete. Luffy laughs and looks at the rest of us as we stand before him. See, another day passes at sea. Now that we have our official pirate flag, and we've already had an interesting adventure when we landed on an island entirely made up of extraordinary creatures with a man trapped in a chest which looks after the animals. At the moment, we're all resting around the ship when I hear a loud crash coming from behind me. I turn from my new book to see my baby brother with a crate. What? We ask, looking startled at the rubber boy. Phew, this is heavy, Luffy complains. He is stupid sometimes. If it's heavy, why carry the crate? What is that? Nami asks him as she stops reading her map. I found these in the storage rooms, he replies but doesn't answer the question, opening up the wooden crate with red paint spelling out, "Danger," on the side. Aren't those cannonballs? She wonders, looking at them. I pick one up and throw it a few times in my hand before returning it. They're good quality, too, I muse. I figured we could practice using our hard-earned cannon, Luffy merely says, and I go over to Zoro, seeing that he's still napping. Then I'll take care of it, Usopp suggests, smirking as he begins reminiscing or lying. I think I was 3. Traveling halfway around the world, riding on a cannonball. But Luffy isn't paying any mind as he looks over the cannon. How do you use this? He asks, scratching at the straw hat. Listen to me. The long-nosed teen snaps, looking over at the rubber idiot. Hey, Zoro. Do you know how to use this? Luffy shouts over to us. But Zoro's still sleeping soundly. He's been sleeping for a while. I inform Luffy and return to reading my book as I had no interest in the cannon. No fun, he sulks, pouting slightly, but Nami tries lifting his spirit. If we go a little south, there's a perfect place for practicing, Nami tells him as she looks over the map. Really? Let's go, our captain cheers, and we make our heading, so the boys can practice. Hey, can you shoot cannons as well as I can? Usopp asks, trying to boast. People call me the cannon master. Listen, as Luffy continues to ignore him. See, we finally find the place Nami was talking about, and the boys load the cannon. Luffy has the first go. Missing the mark to boom of the cannon startles the sleeping swordsman. I missed, Luffy states the obvious as we watch on. What are you guys doing? Zoro asks the 2 boys below us as he sits up next to me. He turns to me, seeing as I am looking over. I have abandoned my book for now, ensuring the boys don't injure themselves. We're practicing shooting the cannon, he replies, but it's harder than I thought it would be. I told you, let me show you how it's done, Usopp tells him, pointing towards himself with a big smile. With the current distance, this is about right. Usopp positions the cannon as he mutters and fires the cannonball at the rock columns. Fire! The cannonball sails through the air and hits the target right in the middle, causing dust to fly from the impact, and the top falls to pieces down into the water below. Amazing! The rubber boy marvels at the decimated pile of rocks falling below the vast waters. You hit it with one shot. It really hit the target. He questions in shock but quickly recovers. Of course, when it comes to aiming, I know everything. So you believe me now? He says, seeming full of himself even though, just a second ago, he didn't believe it either. You're the sniper from now on. Luffy awards Usopp, nodding his head erratically. I look over to see Zoro glancing down at them with a smile, seeming content with their antics. What? I'm not the captain. Our new sniper asks, seeming disappointed. I'm the captain, he objects, annoyed at the long-nosed sniper. They already seem close, I muse, looking down at them, must be the hat. Zoro looks at me, confused. Didn't Luffy tell you about the hat? I wonder, earning a look from the swordsman. It was my dad's, but he gave it to Luffy when he left me on Luffy's island. I explain and look down at the 2 arguing boys. Yeah, I remember you saying that Usopp's dad was on your ship? Zoro inquires, and I nod. Uncle Usopp, he's fun to be around, though all my aunts and uncles are. I tell him, and I know this crew is getting more and more interesting by the second I spend with them. Seems nice. Why didn't you go back to them once you left the island? He asks me. I always wanted to go back, But then I remembered my promise to my dad that I would help my baby brother fulfill his and my dream before seeing my dad again. I promised my dad I'd help Luffy become king of the pirates and fulfill my own dream. Till that happens, I'm just going to have to wait. I answer and look at him, and I have to ask, what's your dream? To become the world's greatest swordsman, the ship's first mate answers in a beat, and I smile. I guess my Uncle Mihawk will have a good fight on his hands once they meet, but for now, I hope it's not too soon. I hope you fulfill your dream, Zoro. I tell him and walk off smiling. He really is fascinating. See, an hour later, we grow bored, and all come inside to the kitchen to laze about. Zoro is sitting against the fridge while the rest of us sit around the table, and the boys are still going on about the position of captain. That's okay. I'll let you have that position for now. However, if you do a poor job, I'm gonna replace you, Usopp so graciously offers. If anyone is captain next, it would be someone who spent 11 years on a ship and is the daughter of a very famous pirate. I muse, then shake my head. Me? Nah, I don't want the responsibility, and I know Luffy will do a fantastic job of being our captain. That's fine. Before that, I've been thinking. Before going to the Grand Line, we need to fill one more position. Luffy announces, and I know what is coming next. Right, and we have such a nice kitchen. Nami compliments, looking around the room. It was nice, but I bet that isn't what Luffy was thinking about. If you pay me, I'll do it. It's an important position for any long voyages, Zoro agrees, but those two are so far off the mark. Then again, it's Luffy who usually thinks with his stomach. That's right, it's someone that we must have on a pirate ship. Luffy exclaims, thinking they're thinking the same as him. A musician. Are you an idiot? He asks our captain, annoyed. But I can't help but laugh at my baby brother's idiocy. What the hell do you think sailing is? Nami hollers at our captain in disbelief. I thought you were actually saying something constructive for once. Usopp sighs in disappointment at our captain. To be honest, Luffy, I thought you'd be thinking with your stomach for once. I chuckle. I mean, he usually thinks about his stomach, and he needs a good cook to keep up with his hunger. But pirates have to sing. Luffy tries to defend himself, isn't that right? Sis? I go to reply, but before the words leave my lips, something loud crashes on the deck outside. Come out, you pirates! A loud, angry voice shouts on the deck, gaining our attention, and Luffy goes off, opening the door with me behind him as the bodyguard of the crew. See, looking out the door, I see a lone man wearing sunglasses and a blue hoodie. He is brandishing a sword, but it isn't very intimidating to look at, and I notice a tattoo on the side of his face that is the kanji for see. What? Luffy demands as we look down at the stowaway. Who are you? Shut up. The man snaps at us. It doesn't matter who I am. With that said, he swings his sword down on the banister in front of Luffy and me. I use my demon speed to pick up Luffy and jump out of the way onto the deck near the stowaway. I've killed a countless number of pirates. But a no-name pirate like you dares try to kill my partner? He accuses us, but I leap away again as he slashes his sword onto the deck where we stand. What do you mean, partner? Luffy asks the stowaway, clueless. I guess it happened when Usopp hit the rock column earlier, and the man and his partner were there. I don't know what's going on, but don't damage our ship. He demands and stretches his arms out to the stowaway, grabs his head, and flips the man over our heads into the opposite wall. The stowaway lands on the wall upside down with a loud crash and slides down onto the floor in defeat. Al almost had them, he groans as he slides down to the floor. What was that? I question, looking at the two of them. Hey, you, aren't you Johnny? I hear Zoro shout down to the beaten man on the deck. Who is it? Calling out my name with no respect, the man named Johnny snaps, looking up at the voice to see Zoro looking down at him from the railing. He springs up and looks surprised at the swordsman. Big bro Zoro. He yelps in shock. So it is you, Johnny, he clarifies, seeming almost pleased. You're on a pirate ship, big bro? Johnny demands in a shaky voice. Why? What's wrong? Isn't Yosaku with you? You're not together. Zoro asks his friend, I guess, but ignores the question by asking on his own. Johnny tells Zoro to follow him, and they go to the ship's side. Looking over the side, I could still hear them. Why Yosaku is, he cries, and Zoro awkwardly pats him on the shoulder as his friend cries over their partner. I have enough now. I want to know what is happening and walk over to see a small boat with a man bleeding over the side. We carefully take the injured Yosaku onto our ship and check him over. I thought so. He's ill, right, Johnny? I ask the bounty hunter. He's ill, Zoro asks his friend, who is looking down at him. Yosaku is, he was perfectly fine until a while ago, then he grew pale and started to lose consciousness. I have no clue why. Lately, his teeth started falling out, and his old wounds have started to bleed again. I just don't know what to do anymore. So I took him to that rocky island to let him rest, but then your ship attacked us, Johnny cries with tears falling from under his sunglasses. I look at Usopp and Luffy, shaking my head mockingly, scolding them as they look at the poor man, shocked. I am sorry, they both apologize, bowing to him, but he seems to have calmed down slightly. If all problems could be solved with an apology, we wouldn't need the police. Joe'll like adding, or me. But the boys grow scared of what they have done. Isn't that right, partner? He starts crying again. Big bro, is he going to die? Are you stupid? Nami snaps, walking towards us and examining the sick Yosaku, though she's not gentle about it. What? Zoro growls, looking at her, which suggests he still doesn't fully trust her, and I know he only trusts me a little more than her. As Nami examines Yosaku, Johnny stops her, grabs her arms and spits in her face as he yells at her. What are you doing to my partner here? I'll kill you. Nami, having enough, pushes his face away from hers and takes charge. Luffy, Usopp, she calls out to the boys, and I see them slightly crying from the guilt. There are some limes in the storage, aren't there? The navigator asks them and doesn't get a response. Are you listening? Bring them to me right now. Nami snaps them out of it, and the boys scramble to the door, pushing each other out of the way, trying to get there first or just away from the fuming Nami first. I, they exclaim as they fight. Get out of my way, Luffy yells as he pushes the long-nosed teen to the side. You get out of my way, hey, you're the one in my way. Usopp yells back and pushes the rubber boy away, but they both fly forward onto the floor. The boys soon return with a barrel of limes as Nami instructs them to put the lime juice in Yosaku's mouth. He's got scurvy, huh, Nami? I ask, looking on. She nods her head in confirmation. Scurvy? Johnny asks. I can't believe he sails and doesn't know about such illnesses. We've got to him in time. He should recover in a few days, Nami explains, which excites Johnny. Are you sure, big sis? I'm really grateful for big sisses. Johnny spits excited but gets cut off as Nami pushes his face away from her, having enough spit flying onto her face. Stop spitting all over me, please, Nami orders him, gets serious, and starts explaining what was wrong with Yosaku. In the past, it was an incurable disease that plagued sailors. Come on, drink up, the two boys mutter to the ill man. But now, it's just a minor problem, caused by the lack of vitamin C in the past. Ships couldn't carry enough fresh fruit to avoid it. She continues to explain, and the boys begin stuffing the limes into the unconscious man's mouth with force. Those idiots, I sigh, watching them, but I don't stop them, unbothered about the strangers aboard our ship. You sure or something? Luffy cheers, looking up at us but looking at Nami with a cheerful smile. Just like a doctor and Dakota. I've always known you were smart women. Yep, that's right, Usopp chimes in. I won't take offense, but Nami snaps. You should have, at least, know what this was. It could happen to you sooner or later, you know. Nami yells at them, and then Yosaku spits out the limes and sits up looking better. The two men celebrate, spinning around and cheering. It's working, he's recovering. Johnny cheers as the two bounty hunters spin around. Welcome back, partner. You don't recover that quickly, she yells, and Yosaku and Johnny stop their little celebration and turn to face us. Pardon us for not introducing ourselves, they say together as they strike a strange pose. My name is Johnny. He introduces himself as he poses with his fists clenched, one leaning against his cheek with the kanji for see, and the elbow resting on the other arm, which crosses over his chest. And I'm Yosaku. He introduces himself in his pose, similar to Johnny's pose, but he has his hand holding a cigarette. We are the pirate hunters, they exclaim. I know they're bounty hunters, but the men seem weak. Big bro Zoro used to be one of us too. Johnny explains how they knew Zoro. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Zoro walks over to them, passing the rest of us. I never expected to see you guys here, Zoro tells them, seeming pleased nevertheless. But I'm even more surprised. The pirate hunter Zoro has become a pirate himself, he replies, slightly shocked. I guess, the swordsman replies, just shrugs it off and seems to give a special greeting. Big bro, Johnny takes his hand in his, and Yosaku struggles to try to reach for their outstretched hands and falls to the floor, looking terrible again. Hey, partner. He panics, looking at his friend. Well, this is getting strange, I mutter. See, we get Yosaku into the boys' bedroom to lie down and recover as the rest of us sit in the kitchen doing our own thing. As I read, Nami is sorting out her maps, Zoro is napping or just resting against the wall, Luffy and Usopp are chatting, and Johnny is worrying about his partner in the boys' room. Let this be a lesson for us, Nami warns the others lightly while writing. Yeah. Zoro agrees, not looking up. These kinds of things can happen on a long voyage. Especially since we don't have much room for food on this ship, Usopp adds. Speaking of which, we should get somebody who'd know about this dietary business. I tell them as Luffy munches on a piece of bread. Dietary, I've got it. We need a sea cook, Luffy exclaims, making us all look in surprise at our idiot captain. Let's go look for a sea cook. I get it. Then we'd have all sorts of delicious food to eat, Usopp chimes in, getting excited. Xact Lee. He cheers and sticks his tongue out, probably thinking about all the food he wants the cook to make him. Mostly meat, I bet. If you're looking for such a cook, I know where you could go, Johnny tells us. Yeah, that's the spirit. So, where would that be? Rubber Boy asks the pirate hunter. But it's pretty close to the Grand Line, and the man Big Bro's been hunting for, Hawkeye, is around there too, Johnny says and walks over to stand in front of the swordsman. Man, he was too determined as he looks up with a grin clutching at his swords. Its direction is north-northeast. He points his arm in that direction, and we smirk, thinking of what's to come, and we set a course for our destination. See, we sail through the night, and it finally becomes morning, though Nami is a pain to sleep beside as she keeps muttering about her precious treasure. It gets annoying, fast. I try to sleep for a few more hours before getting up and training a little. When everyone wakes up, Johnny finally tells us our destination's name as we grow closer. Our destination is the floating restaurant, Barati. It comes into view. It is a floating sea restaurant with a fish head and tail at either end. It looks quaint. Everyone looks at the restaurant in amazement and awe as the two boys look with drool, mostly Luffy. What you guys think, huh? Oh, that's a humongous fish, Luffy exclaims, drooling more. Isn't it amazing? Nami gushes with sparkles in her eyes. It really is. Usopp agrees, pumping his fists into the air. Amazing. Luffy cheers, jumping on his toes, and I laugh at their joyful antics, but that cuts short when a marine ship warning horn cuts into our tranquil joys, and the ship pulls up beside us. What? Way out here. I hear Yosaku yelp. I huff in annoyance at the sight and know we will be in trouble now. A marine ship? It didn't come all this way just to attack us, did it? Usopp questions, looking slightly worried. No, we're not known pirates, and they don't know that I'm here, I answer, looking at the ship with narrowed eyes. I smelled trouble, Zoro mutters, gripping the railing tightly. Just out of the blue, Nami ponders, looking at the more giant ship. Johnny badly sneaks away from the rest of us, and a man on the other vessel walks over to the side. I've never seen your pirate mark before, the Marine addresses us, and Johnny denies being a pirate as the two pirate hunters cower behind the door. The Marine smacks his hand, showing off his iron bar with screws lined along his knuckles. I'm the Marine Lieutenant Iron Fist Full Body. Hey, who's your captain? Show yourself, he demands, seeming more aggressive than needed. I am Luffy, our captain shouts his introduction. I am Usopp. Ow, he doesn't need to. Our pirate mark was just made yesterday, Luffy states with confidence. I was the one who made the pirate mark, Usopp adds, trying to gain some credibility, and Luffy seems annoyed by the long-nosed sniper. What's wrong with you people? The Marine lieutenant inquires but still has a smirk on his lips. But it turns into a frown when his eyes dart to the side with the two pirate hunters. I've seen those two before, though. You claim to be pirate hunters, don't you? He asks Johnny and Yosaku, who seem startled at the attention. What? Johnny spurts out, clenching his fists in anger. It looks like you finally caught yourselves some, full body taunts them. We are, he spits out, but the Marine lieutenant just laughs at them. This is too good. The Marine lieutenant smirks, and a beautiful woman with light blonde hair steps out wearing a wine-colored dress from behind the pink-haired Marine lieutenant in the sharp suit. Hey, let's go now, the blonde beauty purrs, trying to distract the Marine lieutenant. Sure. Full body agrees, and they link arms, but Johnny gains their attention as he talks and pulls out wanted posters from his inside hoodie pocket. I'll show you just what it is we pirate hunters do. Johnny seethes and throws all the wanted posters across our floor, but the cocky Marine lieutenant and his date just walk off. The lieutenant gives his men an order but continues walking off, and something seems to catch Nami's eyes, but I can't help but feel as if something dangerous is coming our way soon. He simply ignored us, Johnny sulks. We'll get back at him, Yosaku snaps, and Nami walks over to them. What's all this? Nami asks them and kneels down, looking at the wanted posters scattered on the deck. These are all people with bounties on their heads, big sis Nami, Johnny explains and gasps as he catches himself too late and holds his hands over his mouth, and Yosaku looks worried for his partner. Nami doesn't react as she stares at one of the wanted posters in her hands. I can't get a good look, so I walk over and see a familiar face staring at me. It is me. I pick up my wanted poster and smile. I really do look good for 17, and I haven't changed that much either. It means that if we get him, we get the money offered on their wanted posters. Don't you think it's good business, big sis? Yosaku asks her, and Johnny slaps his hand over his mouth, but he has already called her the name. Nami seems in her own dark world as she looks at the wanted poster. I dart my eyes to see it's on Arlong the Fishman. Strange. Nami crumples up the piece of paper and seems as if she's shaking, but in fear or anger, I'm not too sure. I hear the sound of cannons being positioned and turn my head to the side to see the marine ship's weapons aiming for us. This is bad. Usopp panics. They're aiming right at us. As he says this, the cannon fires the cannonball, hurtling towards us fast. Smoke from the heavy firearm mixes with the little explosion with a bright light, and Luffy goes into action. Leave it to me. Gum gum. The cannonball goes straight for Luffy as he stretches out his arms to the side, holding on and gets pulled back by the force of the cannonball. Slingshot. As Luffy goes further out, his hold on Mary's head slips, and he moves to the right more, then releases the cannonball towards the sea restaurant and goes flying into the back of Mary's head. Idiot. I see the damage done by the cannonball and Luffy being dragged by two chefs into the room. The damage is the worst. It's been some time since our captain was dragged off into the Baratie, and Johnny and Yosaku are fixing the damage they had done to our ship while Nami and Usopp are waiting for Luffy. Zoro is napping. I change into a floral skirt that reaches my mid-thighs, a black crop top, and one of my leather jackets. I need new clothes, I think to myself before leaving my and Nami's room to see them waiting for Luffy. Why don't we go see how he's doing and get something to eat? I treat. I tell my crewmates, and they look at me. I turn to the two pirate hunters. You can guard the ship, can't you? I purr, leaning slightly forward, letting them get a glimpse at my breasts, and they nod in agreement. I hear a scoff from behind me and turn to see Zoro turning his head away from me. Yes, food, Usopp cheers, jumping up and running off. As long as I don't have to pay, I'm good. Nami agrees and goes to join Usopp. I look at Zoro, who grunts in the form of agreement. See, we take Johnny and Yosaku's little boat, and Zoro and Usopp paddle us to the sea restaurant with Nami and me gossiping about the food behind those doors. Zoro seems to be ignoring us, but Usopp occasionally adds a few comments. When we reach the restaurant, Usopp jumps onto the deck. I throw over the rope, and he begins tying it securely to one of the posts when we hear a loud series of crashing sounds from inside. Probably Luffy the idiot, Dakota's Pav. When Zoro opens the restaurant doors, we're welcomed by stunned customers, looking over to the Marine Lieutenant full body, his beauty of a date, and a blonde in a suit holding the Marine by his jaw. Is this a fight or something? Zoro wonders, reading the tense atmosphere and looking at the scene before us with a bleeding full body. Don't go ruining our food, the smoking blonde threatens the Marine. When I mean smoking, I mean he's smoking a cigarette. He's not my type. Messing with a cook of the sea is a good way to get yourself killed. Remember that well. Suddenly, a big guy with pink hair and an apron walks over to the Marine lieutenant and the suit guy, who looks unhappy at the pair. "You're at it again, Sanji?" the guys ask, walking towards them. "What are you doing to our customer? Isn't that a Marine lieutenant?" "Got a problem, you crappy cook?" Sanji asks, turning his head, not seeming to care. "Don't talk to me that way. A crappy cook like you has no right to call me crappy." The other cook snaps back at the younger man. "To a restaurant, customers are everything. Beating up our valuable customers, what are you thinking?" "Customer or not, it's no different," the young blonde cook argues. "This guy not only ruined our dishes, he insulted the chef." Sanji releases the injured Marine lieutenant, letting him fall to the floor, where he sits looking wounded. "That's why I thought I should teach him a lesson." I couldn't blame him. He's not wrong. The cooks on my dad's ship are much worse than this if you leave a crumb on your plate. "Ah, Aunt Alice," I muse, smirking as we watch the exchange from the door with interest. "What kind of restaurant is this? Do you treat all your customers like this? How does it even stay in business? I'll destroy it. I'll destroy your precious little restaurant. I'll destroy it. I'll contact my superior right now." The humiliated Marine lieutenant threatens them, sitting on the restaurant floor. This seems to enrage Sanji as he looks down at Full Body. "I guess that means I can't let you leave this place alive." Sanji growls at him directly, scaring the Marine as he looks up at the blonde cook and walks towards Full Body with the intent to seriously injure or kill the Marine lieutenant. "Stop it, Sanji!" the other cooks shout, trying to hold back the younger male as he tries to reach the Marine lieutenant. "Let go of me," he demands, trying to pull free of them. "He started it." "Stop it, stop fighting, Sanji!" the cooks yell at him as they struggle for control against the younger cook. "Just who do you think you are? Huh?" the blonde cook shouts, struggling as he reaches his arm out towards Full Body, who shakes with terror at Sanji. Suddenly, the ceiling cracks open, and Luffy and an older blonde man fall through a hole they'd made and crash onto the floor with a thud, startling the customers and cooks. "What's he done now?" I groan as we stand in the restaurant doorway, and Usopp tries to get a better look from his spot behind Zoro and me. "What is it this time?" someone asks, seeming used to all the fights and ruckus. "Man, that surprised me," Luffy whines, getting up next to the older blonde man, who seems shaken by the sudden fall and injured, most likely from the Marine's cannonball attack earlier. "Oh, Owner Zeph? What's going on?" a cook questions the old man who'd fallen from the ceiling. "Damn it. See what you did? You broke my ceiling. It's all your fault, boy." The owner snaps at my baby brother, ignoring the other cooks. "You broke it yourself, old man." Luffy snaps back at Owner Zeph, annoyed. "What are you doing, boss?" a cook shouts as he and the others struggle to constrain the young chef. "Leave him and help us stop Sanji here." "Hey, Sanji!" Owner Zeph snaps, turning away from his glaring contest with Luffy, and the older blonde man walks over to the struggling cooks. "Were you fighting in my restaurant again, you ingrate?" "Shut up, old fart!" Sanji growls, stopping in his struggle by the number of cooks, and they let him go. "What? Who do you think you're talking to? You want to destroy my restaurant? You insolent boy!" He shouts and uses his wooden peg leg to kick Sanji around the face hard, making the younger man falter. "You're another one. Get the hell out of here." He turns to the Marine lieutenant and kicks him in the face with his peg leg, knocking him back onto the floor, lying on his front. "You got that? The customers are God?" The pink-haired cook snaps at Sanji but doesn't seem to care, ignoring him. "Only the ones who can stand your cooking." Sanji sneers, not looking at the head chef or the pink-haired cook. "Patty, Sanji. If you want to fight, don't go doing it in front of our customers," Owner Zeph warns them. And then I hear footsteps behind us and move out of the way, hiding my face from the incoming Marine soldier. Lieutenant. Lieutenant Full Body." The Marine soldier calls out for his superior and runs over to the doorway. "We've got a problem." "Seems lively here," I comment, looking at my fellow crewmates who agree. I look at the Marine who seems scared of something. "The underling of Pirate Krieg has escaped," the Marine soldier announces with blood dripping down his face, surprising the Marine lieutenant. "What? We thought he could have given us a lead on Krieg. We've already lost 7 of our men." "That's ridiculous. When we got him 3 days ago, he was about to starve to death. And we haven't fed him yet, have we?" Full Body objects, seeming scared of this underling of the loser Don Krieg. The dreaded Don Krieg pirates. Customers quake in terror at the mere mention of the so-called pirate captain. Isn't he supposedly the most powerful pirate of the East Blue? A customer questions, and I can't help but snicker. It was pathetic. What's so funny? Usopp asks me, and I turn to look at him, seeing him too scared, but there is no reason. Don Krieg is all bark and no bite. It's all a smoke show. Well, they're scared of Don Krieg. I mean, he's weak if you ask me. I reply and see him looking at me now in fear, too. I could kill him easily, but it just wouldn't be worth my time. You really are a killer, huh? He gasps, looking at me, and I just shrug. It's true, but I've grown up around it nearly my whole life. I'm really sore. The Marine soldier can't finish his apology as he's shot from behind in the chest by the so-called underling of Don Krieg. The customers shriek and run in fear at the sight as the man falls to the floor of the restaurant entrance. The shooter walks past the bleeding dead body and sits down at the nearest empty table. He's scrawny for a pirate, but he's not been fed for who knows how long, and he's bleeding, too. The unfed pirate sits on the chair and puts his foot on the table, trying to be intimidating. I don't care what it is. Bring me some food. This is a restaurant, isn't it? The shooter questions, tilting his blood-soaked face to Patty, who doesn't seem scared whatsoever at the pirate. Welcome, mere bastard. Patty greets him with clenched hands and a broad grin almost comical. I'll only say this once more, so listen up. Bring me some food, the Don Krieg minion demands, and Patty doesn't seem fazed. I'm sorry, sir, but we'll be expecting you to pay for a meal here. Do you have enough money? The pink-haired cook asks the low-ranked pirate, seeming almost shy, but the shooter doesn't seem impressed by that question and points the barrel of his gun in Patty's face. Is a bullet okay? The shooter asks rhetorically, and Patty doesn't like that one bit. So I take it that you don't have any money, Patty clarifies, then intertwines his fingers and brings his hands down onto the shooter's head, shocking the customers. Seems both brave and stupid to me. Why that Patty bastard broke one of my chairs? Owner Zeph complains, not about the fact he has a pirate pointing guns at his staff, but the fact one of them broke a chair? Interesting old man. If you can't pay up, you can't eat, he explains, his arms crossed, trying to act intimidate cook. That pirate's nothing. The customers cheer for the Bharati cooks. Take him out. Patty, a cook, joins in with the cheering, and the shooter's stomach growls with intense hunger. He holds it, trying to silence the rumble, but he seems to struggle to stay upright. Oh, your stomach's growling there, you filthy pirate, Patty taunts him, looking down at the pirate. That was a fart. You jerk, hurry and get me something to eat, the low-ranked pirate demands weakly, telling a blatant lie. You're no customer, so get the hell out of here. He shouts at the hungry pirate and kicks him on the floor with no mercy as the customers and cooks cheer him on. Alright, everybody, please, continue with your meal. Patty curtsies as the customers all applaud him soon. He takes the pirate and removes him from the room. Let's find somewhere to sit. I tell my crewmates and walk over to an empty table with the others following behind. We sit and look at the menu. It all looks fantastic. I can't decide. Nami complains as she looks at the menu and pouts. Well, get whatever. I've got the money from my last job, I assure the navigator, looking over at her from behind my menu. So, how does one get into the business of killing people for a living? Zoro asks me. It was the most he's said since we left the ship. I plan to kill the person who murdered my mother, I reply. Seems reasonable enough to get some practice in the meantime while I'm looking. I shrug, shocking Nami and Usopp. Killer. Demon. Usopp and Nami cry out, pointing at me with wide eyes. Calm down, people are looking, I hiss at them, and soon someone comes over to take our order. Our food soon arrives and it looks so good. We dig in, sharing some, but Usopp is acting stingy. And I catch sight of the straw hat wearing rubber boy walking down the stairs leading to the kitchen wearing an apron around his waist. Hey, there. Waiter. Nami calls out to Luffy after I point him out to her and gain his attention, and he doesn't look happy with us enjoying ourselves while he has to work. Hey, it's you guys. Luffy shouts, looking at us in disbelief as we sit, enjoying our banquet. Hey, I heard that you've got to work here for a year, Usopp questions. We'd heard one of the cooks complaining about a straw hat chore boy causing more trouble than help and that he'd be there for a year. Isn't that hard to tell? They're talking about our captain. Can I redraw the pirate flag? Zoro jokingly asks. But Luffy doesn't seem to care as he drools at the food on our table. What's all this? Luffy asks us, still drooling over the food. You're all stuffing yourselves with such great food while I'm not around. That hurts. He cries, getting upset because he can't eat all this good food. Not really, it's our free will, he argues, seeming smug. And my money, I chime in and smirk at my baby brother as he looks more upset and does something gross. As the swordsman laughs, Luffy picks his nose and drops it into Zoro's water glass. The rest of us join in the laughter but for a different reason. But I've gotta admit, the food here's good, the first mate compliments, grabs his glass and brings it to his mouth. I feel kinda sorry for you. Zoro looks about to drink it but shoves it into Luffy's mouth as he tries to fight the swordsman away. You drink it? I can't fight the laughter as we all break into uncontrollable laughter at our captain and first mate's antics. Zoro lets Luffy go and falls to the floor, struggling as he tries not to choke. Why'd you do that? Luffy cries, flipping around on the floor and holding his throat. You too? What were you trying to pull? Zoro demands, looking down at our struggling captain. My stomach's aching. Nami laughs uncontrollably, banging her hand down on the table with Usopp, and I laugh with her. Oh Mother Ocean, thank you for arranging this encounter today. A pathetic recited pickup line breaks Nami from her laughter as I look to see a lovesick Sanji between us with 2 roses in his hands in both mine and Nami's direction. Oh, my loves. Go on. Laugh at me. Who can't bear torture. As long as I'm with you, it matters not if I'm a pirate or a devil, my heart's ready as can be. Sanji proclaims with hearts in his eyes, swinging his head back and forth, looking at Nami and me. But this is horrible. There's such a great obstacle between us. The obstacle is me, right? Owner Zeph snaps, making his presence known and saves Sanji from more cringingly horrible pickup lines. Sanji. He snaps the young blonde cook out of his daydream. The old fart, he mutters in annoyance. This is just great. Why don't you just run off and be a pirate just like them? We don't need you here anymore. The head chef tells the young cook, who seems more betrayed than anything. Well, this just got awkward. First, we have to hear a player's terrible love confessions, and now, we're overhearing a family argument. Why us? Hey, old fart. Ain't I the assistant head chef here? What's your crap of not needing me no more? The blonde player demands, looking at the old man. You always fight with our customers. You flirt with any beautiful woman in sight. And you make lousy food. You're nothing more than a burden to this restaurant. That's what I mean. Owner Zeph explains, which I hate to say was really heartless. What the? Sanji begins to say, but snickering from upstairs cuts him off for a second. The other cooks don't like you anyway. Why don't you just become a pirate or whatever you please? Why don't you just get the hell out of here? He urges the blonde cook, but it seems so harsh and almost unbelievable. It seems there's a hidden reason for him being so cruel to the blonde. What's this crap? I didn't do shit, and now you're blowing your head off, old fart? I don't care about the rest of your excuses. The player tells the old man and walks over to him. But I'll never allow my cooking to be insulted. I don't care what the hell you're gonna say. I'm gonna stay right here as a chef. Sanji aggressively grabs the owner with his chef's jacket. If you don't like it, it's your problem. How dare you hit your own boss? The head chef says and grabs Sanji's blazer and throws him. You stupid eggplant. Owner Zeph shouts, throwing the young cook, and the blonde man lands on our table, almost ruining our food with force, but we quickly grab it, keeping it all safe. Damn it, Sanji groans, sliding to the floor and getting back up. Are you kiddin'? No matter how hard you may try, I'm gonna stay right here as a chef. Till the day you go to hell. The owner seems to have enough and walks away. I won't die, I'll live another 100 years, Owner Zeph retorts as he walks away. What a stubborn old man, he mutters, and Luffy crouches down beside the blonde cook. Isn't that great that he gave you his blessing? Now you can come with us, Luffy beams, looking at the fallen cook. Hell no. The player snaps at the rubber idiot and puts our table back upright. Alright, then. Please pardon me for what has happened. As an apology, I've ordered you a fruit Macedonia, my princesses. Sanji smooths over as he puts down the dessert and fills our glasses. Why, thank you. You're so kind, Nami coos, playing along and getting ready to sink her claws in for everything the player is worth. It's nothing, he replies, falling into her obvious trap, and Usopp jumps over to them, annoyed as he hasn't gotten anything. "What's this? You're not apologizing to us. I'll sue you, you love cook." Usopp rants at him, but Sanji doesn't seem fazed at all. "I brought you some tea, isn't that enough? You should thank me, long nose," the player remarks, looking Usopp dead in the eye. "Huh? Picking a fight? I won't go easy on you, get him, killer?" he demands, turning around to me and pointing at Sanji. "Do it yourself," I snap, rolling my eyes and eating my delicious dessert. "Please, don't fight over me," Nami gushes, returning the attention to her. "Very well, ma'am. I'll stop." Sanji complies with devotion to the strawberry blonding over you. Usopp snaps, looking down at Nami. "By the way," Nami purrs, gaining Sanji's attention. "The food here's great, but it's a bit expensive for Dakota and me." She plays around with Sanji, making him fall further into her trap. "Of course. I won't make you or Dakota pay." Sanji coos under Nami's spell, and she finishes the attack on him with a hug. "Thank you," she squeals, but Sanji looks at Usopp and Zoro with a deadpan look. "You guys have to," he tells them, but the boys still seem shocked. "I already saw that coming," Zoro mutters, annoyed. Luffy starts laughing but stops when Sanji kicks him around the head, making the rubber dummy's neck stretch with the hit, and it wobbles around disoriented. "Hey, why are you slacking off here for?" the sous chef demands, picking our captain up and positioning him under his arm before dragging him away. "Go give the guests towels when they come in." "Yes, sir," Luffy agrees, seeming disorientated from the previous hit as we watch after them. "What are we going to do now? I don't have any money," Usopp asks, seeming to have forgotten I was paying just for the boys now, which was fine with me. "Usopp, don't be stupid," Zoro tells him, drinking from a new glass. Usopp looks at him, annoyed, and is about to say something. "Dakota already said she would pay, remember?" That seems to stop the long-nosed sniper, who stops and enjoys his meal. "How long do you think before they've had enough of Luffy?" I question, looking at the others. "Not long, maybe less than a week," Nami replies as she picks a piece of fruit and pops it into her mouth. "He's more trouble than anything," Zoro comments. "I can't disagree with that, he is. He's always been like that." I agree and think back to when I first met the raven-haired boy in his village bar with Makino. He seemed so excited to meet real pirates and asked many questions. He got into trouble as we grew up, but that was just him. That's who my baby brother is. See, it's been 4 days. 4 days later, we arrived at the Barati, and Luffy promised owner Zeph he would repay him for all the damage done by the Marine's cannonball and Luffy's brawl with the owner. The rest of us have been lounging around on the Going Merry as there isn't much to do besides eating. Today, a fog has rolled in, which I hate. It becomes a nuisance after a while, especially when you're hunting someone, but at the moment, that's in the past. Today, I'm wearing black shorts with thick tights, a white top under a red checkered flannel shirt, a thick black jacket, and combat boots, leaving my trilby hat in my room, wanting to show off my vibrant red hair that I keep down with a few braids. Man, it's already been 4 days. I'm getting fed up with this place. How soon can we leave? Y'all think? Usopp complains loudly for the rest of us to hear. Beats me, Zoro answers. It's not like we know anything. Luffy is rubbish at negotiations, which was already proven when owner Zeph and Luffy came through the restaurant ceiling. You don't think he'll really be stuck here for a year, do you? He asks. It wasn't a dumb question, but I still have a little faith. Why not? We've got free food, a cozy atmosphere, Nami replies, leaning over the edge. You and Dakota are the only ones, Zoro snaps and looks at me, and I shrug as if it wasn't my fault or idea. It was all Nami's. Usopp points out Luffy as he carries a large trash bag in hand. Hey, Luffy, I call, gaining his attention as he peers behind the bag. What's up with you? Hurry up and get out of this mess, Usopp starts complaining again. Can't you guys wait just a bit longer? I'll try talking to the boss again, Luffy replies, but it isn't going to work. Please do, he cries. I stop as I feel something off around us, and I look over into the thick fog to see a shadow of a giant ship approaching us in the distance. Damn it, I growl as the battleship grows closer, more markings come into focus, and my eyes draw to the pirate flag with the usual skull, but this one has 2 hourglasses in between the 2 bones on either side. Something is off with the ship. As I look closer through the dense fog, It is in tatters and badly creaking as it slowly moves towards the Bharati, like from the ghost ship stories my dad would tell me, but it's definitely Don Krieg's galleon. The broken galleon stops right by the Bharati, casting a shadow over the smaller vessel and the Going Merry. Luffy moves towards the ship, seeming curious, while Usopp freaks out beside me as we hear the commotion inside the restaurant. "Hey, we oughta get outta here ourselves," Usopp cries in fear. "That ship's huge." Nami panics behind us as we look at the large galleon when a gale wind flows in, dissipating the thick fog and revealing the damage to the larger ship. There are huge chunks taken out of the ship that look like it's been in a fight. The vessel is terrible to look at, but something catches my eye. It's a shadow of a large man walking on the deck and getting off. He comes into focus. It's Don Krieg, weak and seemingly injured, being carried by his little helper from 4 days ago. "Stay low," I warn them as we watch Don Krieg and the weak pirate from before heading into the restaurant doors with the customers, cooks, and Luffy. It's dead quiet inside as most people must be terrified of one of the most powerful pirates in the weakest sea, the East Blue. Once they enter, there's more commotion inside as Don Krieg and his minion get louder as time passes. After a few minutes, I hear a crash followed by more than a woman screaming, and customers pack their bags and flee the restaurants onto their ships. What's going on in the restaurant? Usopp wonders as we watch the crowd fleeing for their lives. "Trouble. Lots of it," I reply with a smile and share a look with Zoro. "Let's go check it out," Zoro suggests, looking into my eyes. "What? You serious?" Usopp yelps, looking over at us in shock and fear. "What's wrong? You scared?" I provoke him with a Cheshire grin plastered on my lips. "Huh? Don't be silly," he denies loudly, but I can hear the fear in his shrill cries. Zoro smiles, and then he looks at the damaged ship seriously. I feel I know the marks but can't seem to place them, having seen many over the years. I hear more shouting from inside the restaurant, and it appears they're having more trouble inside. Then, a bright light seeps through the windows, and a bang from inside, almost like a cannon, followed by an explosion in the restaurant doorway. Smoke flows through the restaurant entrance to the outside. It seems like a large explosion. The sound of gunshots ringing from inside, then the words, "Do as I say. I'm the strongest man there is." It is Don Krieg's voice as he shouts, he is so wrong. I've met Whitebeard a few times as a kid, and as an assassin, I know the strongest man alive. Beat that. I've had enough of waiting around with all the commotion inside and deciding to get into something more suitable. I change into a pair of black leather jeans with a black shirt, leather jacket, and high-heeled boots, needing to be able to fight if it comes to that. I'm ready to fight and in style. I quickly leave mine and Nami's room to see Usopp and Zoro telling Johnny and Yosaku to look after the ship with Nami, who strangely volunteers suddenly. "Let's go then, boys," I call them as I jump on the restaurant's side decking. Zoro throws a whimpering Usopp, who is shaking like a leaf, onto the deck beside me. He falls onto his face, and then Zoro jumps onto my other side. I spot a set of stairs that seem to lead up to the restaurant's second floor, and I lead the boys upstairs, seeing as the main entrance is blocked by Don Krieg and his little buddy. Once upstairs to the second floor, I try to open the door, but it seems locked, so I use brute strength to break the handle. Usopp shrieks as he looks at the horribly mangled door handle. I open the door to find ourselves at the back entrance of the kitchen. We walk through, seeing all the food still around the messy kitchen. Usopp Zoro keeps a firm grip on the back of his shirt so the cowardly sniper won't run away. We finally find the stairs leading down to the restaurant floor and stand watching the scene before us of the supposed king of the East Blue with his little henchman cowering beside him and the cooks along with Luffy before us, facing Don Krieg. "Shall I kill you off right now?" Don Krieg threatens my baby brother with narrow eyes, but Luffy just shrugs it off with his own. "If you think you're up to it," Luffy retorts, swinging his arm back as if readying himself for a fight. "What? Very well, then. You want to be sent to the next world?" He growls, and then the shoulder plates on his tacky golden armor release air before popping up, showing 2 barrels. The cooks take a step back in fright of the empty threat. We make ourselves known as Zoro begins to unleash his swords, and I tap my sharp nails against the railing of the stairs. "Starting a brawl, Luffy?" Zoro questions beside me, and Usopp shakes still on the other side of me as I lean against the railing, looking down. Need a hand? We don't have to, why you know. Usopp stutters terribly. But we don't mind joining in, I smirk, looking Don Krieg dead in the eye and making my eyes glow a bright red. He seems startled and takes a step back for a second, and everyone looks at us. Zoro, Dakota, Usopp. You dropped by, it's okay. Just sit and watch, Luffy tells us, and Usopp seems relieved. While I sigh in annoyance and slump over the railing, Zoro returns his sword, allowing our captain to have his fun. Oh, okay, that's too bad then. If you don't need us, there's nothing we can do about that. I'll help y'all if you still need it. Gee, good luck. Usopp stutters, and both Zoro and I hit him, sending the sniper back into the wall behind us. What the hell was that for, Zoro? Dakota, he complains, looking up at us. Shut up, Zoro warns him. And stay still, I add. Then Don Krieg starts laughing at something. I turn back to the sizable pathetic man as he chuckles. Are those your men? Are they all you've got with you? Don Krieg asks, still smiling as if he finds it funny. What are you talking about? There are 2 more, Luffy answers and shows him 2 more fingers. Hello. I'm a woman, I argue, gesturing to my breasts. Hey, why do you keep counting me in? Sanji demands, glaring at Luffy, and I see Don Krieg looking at owner Zeph with narrow eyes as if sizing him up, then pops the shoulder patches down, covering the guns again. I'll take care of you guys later. Right now, I need to feed my men, Don Krieg comments. He takes the large sack full of food and tosses it over his shoulder, looking at the room full of people with a grim look. For those who don't wish to die, you'd better not be here when I return. The only things I want are the journal and this ship. With that, the enemy pirate captain walks back to his damaged ship but stops in the doorway. However, if you really want to throw your lives away, I'll have to go out of my way, but I'll be happy to send you to the bottom of the ocean. Keep that in mind. And finally, Don Krieg leaves for his ship, leaving an eerie silence over the restaurant for a second. I'm sorry, Sanji, the henchman apologized for his captain, seeming in pain. I never would have imagined things to turn out this way. I don't need an apology from the likes of you, fool, owner Zeph tells him, and he looks at him in shock. We are but cooks in this establishment. We'll feed anybody who comes along. Owner, Patty yells, clutching the large utensil like the other cooks. Why are you siding with Sanji? What's going on here? He demands, and the other cooks agree with him. Yeah, this is his fault. He's going to destroy your precious restaurant. Shut the hell up, you stupid eggplants, owner Zeph shouts, silencing the angry cooks. Have you ever had the experience of starving to death? Can you imagine how horrible it is, having no food and water in this vast ocean? What do you mean, owner? Patty asks the man about his little speech. The difference between all of you and Sanji is that he knows that feeling, he replies, and the cooks seem shocked by this revelation. What does he mean? What does Sanji know about? A cook questions, seeming to have missed the point of the speech. Rather than just standing idle with petty talk, you'd all better leave this place now, the old man warns them, not looking at any of the cooks. I'm staying right here to fight. I can't simply let them trample over me, Patty declares with fire, and all the cooks seem to agree. Me too. This is where I work, I have no place to go to anyway. With that said, the cooks all share looks before clutching their weapons into the air. The pirate minion looks around him frantically at the courageous cooks and slams his hands down on the floor, gaining their attention. What are you doing? Didn't you see how strong our captain is? The former marine prisoner urges, trying to stop the suicidal cooks, but it isn't going to work, not when you have something to fight for. Hey, Jin, Sanji casually addresses the enemy henchman. Feeding the hungry is what being a cook is all about. However, Sanji walks forward as he says this and plants his foot on the leg of a table, using force to push the table into the air, and then plants the same foot to stop the table and push it down onto the floor. Now that your captain's all filled up, he's nothing more than a plunderer. Whatever I do to your pals, don't come bitchin' at me. I'll kill anybody who tries to take this restaurant. Even you, got that? With that threat, Jin, the pirate minion, gives an audible gulp, sweating a little. Hey, you saved his life just to kill him off? You're so thoughtful, Sanji, Patty backhands, looking at the younger cook. Shut up, you fat-ass cook, He insults the pink-haired cook, not even looking at him. Didn't I tell you he was something? Luffy asks, looking up at us. Sure did, brother, I giggle, but Usopp is still panicking as he cowers by mine and Zoro's feet. Who cares about him now? Let's just get the hell out of here. Usopp cries out in distress, though it is most likely that he isn't going to fight. Calm down, Zoro warns him as we look at the terrified, long-nosed teen. Even if he's Krieg, he's all battered up. Jin, you said once before that you know nothing about the Grand Line, right? But you have been there, haven't you? Luffy asks him, turning to face him. This piques some interest in the room. The truth is I don't know nothing. What happened at the Grand Line on the 7th day? Was it a dream? Or reality? It's still fresh in my mind. It was unbelievable. Just one man, destroying a whole fleet of 50 ships. Jin recalls the events, which shocks the cooks as they gape dramatically. Even Usopp starts screaming, and Luffy seems surprised even with the stories Dad and I used to tell him of the adventures we've had across the legendary sea. What? Everyone shouts in shock. It all happened so suddenly, Jin snaps, continuing to explain the Don Krieg pirates' experience on the Grand Line. He showed up out of nowhere and started sinking our ships one after the other. If a storm hadn't come along, our maiden ship would have been destroyed too. I have no idea how many of my mates' ships survived, but it was too scary for me to accept it all. I don't want to even think about what happened. That man, its stare pierces through you like the eyes of a hawk. The last part gets a reaction from Zoro, gaining his attention. He jolts forward, clenching his hand around the railing and leaning his upper body over in anticipation and excitement. What did you say? Zoro mutters, making Usopp and I look at him, worrying about his actions. That guy, he must be the man known as Hawk Eyes. The fact that you noticed his eyes leads me to believe that it was him. It all sounds like something he would do, Owner Zeph remarks, and it definitely does sound like Uncle Mihawk. I wonder if he was just bored. That's always HISED too quickly sometimes. He needs a woman, I muse, smirking. I look over to see Zoro with a crazed look in his eyes, still gripping the railing, almost denting the metal with force. The hawk-eyed man. Zoro drools, shaking in excitement. Hey, you know that guy, Zoro? Luffy asks him, looking up at us, which seems to snap the swordsman out of his daze. That's the man I've been looking for. I sailed across the oceans in search of him, he replies, seeming to calm down a little. Maybe he had some kind of grudge to settle with you guys, Sanji suggests, taking a drag from his cigarette. Not that I know of, Jin snaps, looking at Sanji. Perhaps you disturbed his nap, Owner Zeph muses, it's a pretty close suggestion. Or he just got bored, I chime, smirking and looking at Jin, who seems angry. Stop the bullshit. Why in the world would he destroy our fleet just for that? Jin shouts at us, but the old man finds it funny as he lets out a low laugh. Don't get so worked up, Owner Zeph tells him. I'm just making a guess, silly, I add, smirking, knowing I was right, really. Stuff like that happens in the Grand Line all the time. Everyone looks at me in shock, but Luffy, as I said, I've told him stories of my time, and he knows I grew up on those seas. Everyone is wound up over there, the littlest thing can set them off. Just what kind of place is that? Usopp asks, looking up at me as I smile down at our sniper, looking at his wide eyes showing fear. A place where anything can happen, Zoro answers, sending Usopp over the edge as tears flow down his cheeks in immense fear. Dead on, I agree and smile, thinking of home. It's been some time since I'd entered the Grand Line's second half, but I'd made a few appearances in paradise. Hey, Luffy, he calls down to our captain, gaining his attention. Stop this right now. We can't go there, Luffy. Luffy seems to be shaking slightly. Hey, Luffy. He soon burst out in laughter and excitement. Gah, I'm so pumped up. I was hoping the Grand Line would have all this. Luffy cheers. I laugh as this was the same thing he'd said when I told him my stories. Dakota, you were right. Of course, I'm always right, I joke, smirking. Can't you be more concerned about your safety? Usopp snaps at him as he looks down, but we know he's thinking more about himself as a little coward that he is. But with all this talk, now my destination will really be the Grand Line, Zoro says, leaning back against the wall behind us. That man, I can definitely meet him there. Are you morons? You must be those who are eager to die, Sanji remarks, looking up at us. That's right. But it's none of your business. When I decided to become the greatest swordsman in the world, I threw away the rest of my life. I'm the only one who can say I'm an idiot, he snaps, looking down at the blonde cook. Well, that's something. Me too. Me too. Luffy chimes, grinning. As a man of the sea, same here, Usopp adds, but you can hear the lie, and I knock him on the head several times. Cut the lying. Idiot, I snap at him and look back at Zoro. Such a waste of a life, but I know his ambition and the things I, too, have given up to achieve mine. I see no reason not to agree. Fools, Sanji mutters to himself, but I can still hear him nonetheless because of my advanced hearing. Hey, do you bastards realize what's going on here? Don Krieg's ship is right in front of this restaurant. Do all the talking only after we get out of this mess, Patty warns us. It doesn't matter to me. I've killed more than enough people before, I mumble and jump over the railings onto the floor below, standing beside Luffy as I hear the war cries from the damaged ship as the crew regain their senses. Here they come. A cook shouts as they ready themselves to fight with their makeshift weapons. I get out my custom knuckle duster with blades on either side from my jacket's inside pocket. I can hear them, he states the obvious again. We won't let them through. 'Cause this ship is our restaurant. I hear the sound of their heavy footsteps as they run towards us from their ship. Run in fear, you cooks, a random pirate screams, but it goes silent as a slicing sound comes from outside, then a rumble before waves crash from their ship being hit by something. I narrow my eyes, knowing who it is. I can feel the atmosphere change as everyone else stands in shock. What? Luffy gapes as the rest of them do the same. What the hell was that? I hear Don Krieg cry out in bedwetting terror. Most likely flashbacks from the Grand Line. It's pretty standard for weaker pirates. The cries of the pirates from outside are audible as they struggle with their remaining ship sinking. The waves from the vessels rock the restaurant with us inside. Go hoist the anchor, or our ship'll get pulled under with them, Owner Zeph orders one of his cooks, who races out in compliance. This is bad. Nami, Yosaku and Johnny are still on our ship. Zoro mentions and jumps down beside me, and we race outside the restaurant. See, once outside the restaurant, we find Don Krieg's galleon almost entirely submerged. Big bro. Big bro. I hear Johnny and Yosaku shout for Zoro as they swim towards us. I walk over with the others to the side by the railing to see the two bounty hunters, but no going merry. Yosaku, Johnny, are you guys okay? Luffy asks them frantically. Where's the ship? What happened to Nami? Zoro quickly asks them. I almost feel a slight jealousy seep through my being at the thought of Zoro liking the ginger treasure lover. But I quickly shake it off as it's not the time, and my past failed relationships are at the back of my mind. I'm sorry, big bro, she's left, Yosaku tells us. Big sis Nami, Johnny cries, not actually telling us. She took off with all the treasure, Yosaku finally tells us, but then again, I don't get most of it as they keep crying. What did you just say? We shout down at them in shock at the actions of our navigator. It's him, Owner Zeph states. I look over at him to see a look of shock on his face. I turn my head to the waters to see a small wooden raft with a sail and a candle emitting a green flame. It's him. It can't be, he is, the man with the hawk eyes? I hear Zoro mutter and look over to see him sweating and a frantic look in his eyes. Well, this should be fun. Dakota's Pav. It's him. The old man states. I look at him to see a look of shock on his face, and I turn my head to the waters to see a small wooden raft with a sail and a candle emitting a green flame. It was him. It can't be, he is, the man with the hawk eyes? I hear Zoro say and look over to see him sweating and a frantic look in his eyes. Well, this should be fun. I pick the two morons out of the water below and drop them to the floor on their backs. They seem tired as they pant for lost oxygen. I look down at them in disappointment that they lost our ship to Nami and why she left us. The boys and I don't give them much time to rest as we bombard them with questions. What did you say? Usopp demands, stepping towards them. Nami ran off with the going merry? Luffy asks frantically. What exactly happened? Zoro questions them, moving towards them. Where's all my money and weapons? I demand, moving over to Luffy, getting a better look at the lousy pirate hunters. Everything happened so suddenly. Yosaku begins saying and telling us how Nami was acting strange, then tricked them into turning around as she was pretending to change her shirt before pushing them over the side of the ship and sailing off, leaving them just before Don Krieg's galleon was sliced in half. Damn, idiots. And that's how we lost the ship, Johnny finishes, and the duo of bounty hunters kneel in front of us, bowing in forgiveness. Forgive us, Yosaku cries as they bow their heads at us. Zoro punches the side of the restaurant in anger, but something from the story doesn't sit well with me. Arlong was dangerous, so why was Nami interested in him? There has to be something there. Damn, she took advantage of us. Zoro growls out his fist, clenched in anger. That ship was given to us by Kaya. Usopp hisses as he clenches his fists in intense anger. Hold up, I can see it, Dakota. Have a look, Luffy points out as he stands on the restaurant's railing, looking out with his hands covering the sun's glare. I jump beside him and see a small figure like our ship in the distance. I've got this. Akuma no human demon form, eyes from hell. I reply, and my eyes glow a bright gold turning into cat-like eyes completely gold and look at the figure as it becomes larger and clear. It's definitely the Going Merry, I tell the boys, looking further to see an island in the distance some time away. She looks like she's heading to an island. I close my eyes, letting them turn back to their normal state. Where's your ship? Luffy demands, looking back at the pirate hunter duo. We still have it, but, Yosaku answers as they look up at him. Zoro, Usopp, Dakota, leave right away, fetch Nami using their ship. Luffy orders us. Never mind. Let it go. Zoro retorts, dismissing the request of our captain. There's no need to chase that woman. I can't be without her as my navigator, Luffy announces, and our first mate and captain do a little staring contest before Zoro accepts our captain's demands. Fine. What a pain in the ass, captain. Hey, Usopp, Dakota, let's go. He tells us, and Usopp agrees, and the boys grab their little boat. Luffy, I can't just leave you by yourself. You always cause trouble everywhere you go, I argue, looking at my baby brother. I'll be okay, sis, don't worry, he tells me, but I glare at him. I won't leave him here just to fight those loser pirates alone. I'm not leaving, and that's final. I snap and cross my eyes as the duo return with their boat and reverse it towards us. Big bro Zoro, the ship's ready. The duo announces as Yosaku weighs anchor, and Zoro turns towards our captain. Luffy, what about you? Even though it is self-evident, Zoro asks him what he will do. I haven't fully repaid this restaurant yet, so I can't go, Luffy answers, and I stand next to the moron. Do be careful. Dakota, look after our captain. Things here are abnormal, he tells us. Yeah, I know. Luffy agrees and seems almost serious. Don Krieg, it's that man. A pirate yells out, cutting the moment. I walk towards the railing to get a better look. It's really him. Dracule Mahawk. My uncle. I watch him sail through the ship's carcass with pirates littering and waters surrounding it. The man who destroyed our fleet. This gains the others' attention as I hear Zoro mutter to himself. That man is, he seems nervous almost as he gulps, but maybe it is in delight. That man is, he goes quiet again, and the pirates scream things in fear of the warlord. Zoro, who the heck is he? Luffy asks him from behind me. The man I've been searching for, Hawkeye's Mahawk. He answers, seeming almost dark as he says it. SXY, it sends a shiver down my spine. Hawkeye's Mahawk? I know that name, Luffy thinks, and he does know that name, as I have told him that name many times in some of my stories of my large family. The strongest swordsman in the world, he clarifies, looking thrilled as he stares at the small raft carrying the swordsman. I walk away to the front with the rest of the cooks, who seem terrified at the sight of the raven-haired man with the compensating sword on his back as he drifts forward. That's the guy who instantly sank Don Krieg's fleet of 50 ships, which should have withstood the Grand Line. Patty replies, almost in terror and awe at the world's greatest swordsman. And he just destroyed another one of Don Krieg's ships, a cook adds, sharing the same terror and awe for my dear uncle. But he looks no different from any other ordinary person. Another cook comments, which is so wrong, and he doesn't seem to be armed with anything special. His untrained eyes deceive him because if you look closer, you can see his beautiful sword strapped to his back. His weapons on his back, I state, seeming to startle the cooks as they turn to look at me in surprise. "No, way you can't mean?" The cook in front of me stutters out in shock. "He destroyed that huge ship with that sword?" A cook to my left exclaims. "He's the greatest swordsman, Hawkeye's. A swordsman, above all of the world's swordsmen." Zeph clarifies as he looks out at the swordsman. "That sword is a black blade called Yuru." I inform them when a cuss comes from a pirate towards my uncle, who seems to pay him some attention. "Sorry, you're dead now, mate." "Why did you attack us?" the pirate demands as he looks up from the wreckage with some fellow pirates. "To kill time," he replies, only glancing quickly over his shoulder at the pirate. "Told you, Jin." I grin at the pirate, who looks back at me in shock, and I turn to watch the show. "Bullshit." The pirate on the wreckage cries out with 2 pistols drawn, and Uncle Mahawk clutches his sword and swings it down and to the side towards the pirate. The pirate pulls the trigger, and 2 bullets shoot towards the sword, and Uncle Mahawk slightly tilts the blade at an angle, making the bullets ricochet off the smooth metal and flies past my uncle. "What?" the pirates exclaim after what they saw. I'm sure I was right on target. He grits his teeth, and I see the one person I hoped would have left already. Roronoa Zoro. He stands behind them, thrilled as he looks ahead at my uncle, his execution. He deviated. He redirected it with the tip of his sword. He explains, but they don't buy it. That's ridiculous. He denies it, and Zoro moves him to the side as he walks to the edge of the wreckage. "Hey, who the hell are you?" "Swords, 3 of them. Could it be?" A pirate questions and looks up at Zoro. "I've never seen such graceful skill." Zoro compliments Uncle Mahawk, gaining his attention as he glances over his shoulder. "A sword with power alone is not powerful." Mahawk recites the same line he once told me years ago. "So this ship was cut apart with that sword, too?" he inquires. "Of course." Uncle answers shortly, as always, not wanting to waste his words. "It's clear now. You're the strongest. I've been sailing the seas to face you." The green-haired swordsman declares and grabs the dark green bandana he has wrapped around his forearm. "What's Mahawk?" asks him, not even glancing at Zoro as he sits in the seat, looking at his hands clasped on his knee. "To be the best." This gets my uncle's attention as he seems to smile at the ambitious swordsman. "Fool." He taunts him as he looks at the greenette, but he just readies his treasured sword and points it towards my Uncle Mahawk. "You've got time to spare, don't you? Let's duel, shall we?" Zoro requests, looking too smug for his execution. "This guy is Zoro, the 3 swords, Roronoa Zoro," a pirate announces, and the others all seem shocked at this revelation. "That guy?" I hear Sanji's question, stunned by this news, from behind me as we watch the exchange. "Hey, things are getting worse. Luffy, Dakota. Going Merry is about to be gone from our sights, and we need Dakota to track it. Hey Luffy." Usopp reasons from the side, but Luffy and I stay to watch the fight about to commence. "Duel? Such a pitiful weakling." Uncle Mahawk insults as he looks at Zoro, who seems unaffected by his words. Uncle Mahawk jumps up quick from his seat and lands on the wreckage to the side of our swordsman, who appears startled by the quickness of Uncle Mahawk's movements. "If you were really a fine swordsman, you should have been able to judge the difference in strengths without drawing your sword. Challenging me. Are you that brave? Or simply reckless?" Uncle Mahawk warns him almost. "But I know this won't stop Zoro." "This is for my own ambition," Zoro replies, placing his Wado Ichimonji into his mouth and unsheaths the other 2, dropping the scabbards on the ground haphazardly. "And for my promise to my fallen friend." I know about the story behind his promise and ambition. He told me about his vow, but not in full detail just yet, and I want to know it, so he has to live so I can watch him one day fulfill his dream like the rest of us. The world's greatest swordsman Hawkeye's Mahawk versus pirate hunter Zoro. What kind of fight will it turn out to be? Patty wonders aloud. It will be a test of pure talent, power, and what will come for us once we reach the Grand Line. No one can win against Big Bro, Yosaku boasts, full of hope, mainly. "Big Bro's the best." Johnny cheers, and Uncle Mahawk grabs at his crucifix that hangs around his neck by a piece of string. He pulls away the bottom to reveal a small dagger. "Hey now, what's the meaning of this?" Zoro demands as he glares at the small blade. "I'm unlike those idiots who use their all to hunt rabbits." Though you're famous enough to be called a swordsman, this is the weakest of the 4 oceans, East Blue. Unfortunately, I'm carrying nothing smaller than this. Uncle Mihawk mocks Zoro, and he knows it from the look on his face. Quit mocking me, Zoro growls and sprints towards the world's greatest swordsman. Just don't regret it when you die. You're but someone who's yet to experience the real world, Uncle Mihawk remarks as he readies the small dagger for the incoming assault. Zoro continues to close the distance between them, and as he gets close enough, he swings his blade across from one another to his shoulders and slices down. Onigiri, Zoro calls out, but the attack never hits its mark as the 3 blades collide with Uncle Mihawk's small dagger. Zoro, Luffy mutters, stunned by what's in front of us. Big Bro's Onigiri was stopped. Johnny panics, shocked. But that has always worked, 100% of the time. What in the world happened? Yosaku adds to the panic of Zoro's fan club. This was bad already. With just one move, Uncle Mihawk has shown him the extreme of the Grand Line's power. Zoro seems to struggle to move but returns and runs towards Uncle Mihawk again, looking more determined. The world shouldn't be this far off, Zoro bellows before giving out numerous swings, but Uncle Mihawk just deflects them effortlessly as they come. Watching it is almost sorrowful as Zoro tries with such effort and Uncle Mihawk just plays with him like a tiger and a mouse. I look over to see Zoro's fan club quiet but seeming on the edge of a cliff as they watch their hero get humiliated in front of pathetic pirates who couldn't last a week in the Grand Line and cooks and his own friends. One move from Uncle Mihawk pushes Zoro back, and he lands on the broken deck of the wreckage and flips onto his front. Then he moves to the side, but his swords stay in his grip, almost showing the snob his will to fight continues even if he's knocked down. This can't be happening, big bro, please fight seriously, Yosaku shouts out to Zoro. Big bro, Johnny cries out for his fallen friend. Zoro gets up slightly, looking up at Uncle Mihawk, glaring at him. It can't possibly be this far away. He grits his teeth and lunges up randomly strikes, and you can hear the strikes hitting the small dagger, but most of the time, it's just the air. Zoro pushes Uncle Mihawk back to a railing, and he jumps back on top and jumps again as Zoro cuts the wood and jumps over. Zoro, seeming in a frenzy, almost continues to strike at my Uncle Mihawk. He strikes down, and Uncle Mihawk stops it with his blade and looks up at Zoro. Such unrestrained skill. My niece can do better, he comments, and he wasn't wrong, I guess, but I'm not a swordswoman. I'm an assassin. Zoro lunges forward at the comment and moves his head to the side, his sword violently hitting the dagger's blade. The air around them pushes out in a small vortex. Zoro continues to strike at Uncle Mihawk, but he still deflects each attack easily. I didn't come all this way to lose against this toy-like thing. Zoro growls, and they continue to strike blows, and something startles Zoro as he stops, then snaps out of it, lunging for Uncle Mihawk, but he sidesteps out of the way. Zoro falls forward, and Uncle Mihawk swings his arm down, knocking it to the back of Zoro's neck, knocking him unconscious. The idiot, why can't he just admit defeat and come back stronger than before? I grit my teeth as I watch the fight and know this will end badly. Zoro soon returns to consciousness and turns, looking at my Uncle Mihawk as he stands a few feet away, looking down at the panting greenette. Zoro stands and tries moving forward but staggers and makes a pitiful attempt to strike Uncle Mihawk, and he sidesteps as Zoro falls onto his back, still trying to catch his breath. Zoro struggles to get back to his feet, and Uncle Mihawk looks down at him with an emotionless stare. What's your mission? Why do you seek the ultimate power, you weakling? Uncle Mihawk demands, looking down as if he were something on his shoe. This gets a reaction from the pirate hunter duo as they try to leap into Zoro's defense. Big bro's a weakling, you say, you damn bastard? Yosaku roars, and they grip the hilts of their swords. I'll teach you a thing or two, Johnny adds in, and they go to leap over, but Luffy and I stop them, grabbing Yosaku by the back of his coat as Luffy does the same with Johnny. Stop, Yosaku. Johnny, we snap as we bring them back. Don't interfere, just hang on. Luffy orders and holds them down by their heads as they struggle for freedom. Zoro finally gets to his feet, seeming more determined as he looks at Uncle Mihawk. I can't afford to lose, Zoro scowls and a long silence goes between them as if sizing up each other, but it's cut short when Zoro slices his blades, getting into a position to strike. He moves his arms to his left, and his swords are behind his third. Toragari. He never gets to hit as Uncle Mihawk steps forward with his blade and plunges it into his chest, stopping the swordsman. I smell the unmistakable scent of blood fall in the air and feel my demons awaken inside. I feel my heart begin to strike my ribcage, trying to settle down, but it's no use. The scent is sweet and intoxicating, almost hypnotic. I feel my canines grow longer, and my eyes turn red, but I slow down the regression to demon form. I need to unleash my bloodlust before it happens, and I lose all common sense. Do you wish to have this go through your heart? Why don't you step back? Uncle Mihawk asks the stubborn swordsman. I don't know ELF. But if I were to take even one step back, I believe that all those important oaths, promises, and many other deals, till now, will all go to waste and I'll never be able to return before you, ever again. Zoro explains as he talks. I smell more blood flow coming to the surface, and my bloodlust is almost at its limit. Yes, and that's called losing, Uncle Mihawk replies, seeming annoyed. That's why I can't step back. Zoro defends with an almost smirk in his voice. Even if it means death? Uncle Mihawk questions him, looking him dead in the eye. Death may be better, Zoro replies, and this shocks me, and Uncle Mihawk, as he dislodges the dagger from his chest, takes a few steps backwards, and places the cover over the little blade. Kid, announce your name, Uncle Mihawk orders him, and Zoro moves his 3 swords and strikes a pose with his blades pointing in different directions in a circular type position. Rorinoa Zoro, he announces, and Uncle Mihawk moves to grab the hilt of Yuru. I'll remember that. It's been a while since I've seen such strong will. As a reward, he remarks, and unleashes Yuru from her sheath. A gesture to a fellow swordsman. I will wield this black sword, the most powerful sword in the world, to end your life. I appreciate your offer, Zoro replies. This is overkill. It is evident that Zoro was going to die, and now it would pass, his life would end today. Uncle Mihawk readies his blade. I grit my teeth as my anger surges, adding to my bloodlust. The pirate hunter duo are panicking, and Luffy is abnormally restrained as I see him gripping the railing hard, almost splitting the wood. That's enough, big bro, please stop, Johnny cries out as he covers his head, anticipating what will happen next. Zoro moves his swords in a circular motion going in opposite directions, making a whirring noise as he speeds up the movement. 3-sword secret technique. Uncle Mihawk lunges forward towards Zoro and slashes him. 3,000 worlds. The force of the hit from Yuru shatters Zoro's 2 katana blades, and more blood spurts out of the swordsman from new wounds and slumps his shoulders, almost in defeat. He takes his precious sword from his mouth, carefully slides her back into her sheath, and stands, turning to face my uncle with no fear. He spreads his arms to the side, and Uncle Mihawk looks at him in shock. But why? Uncle Mihawk questions, and Zoro looks up with a look of almost happiness, trying to hide the pain. A scar on the back is a swordsman's shame. Zoro grins, but it won't stop him from attacking. Well said. Uncle Mihawk soon agrees and slashes down his chest. Blood spurts from the new open wound. I gape in shock, hoping my eyes deceive me, but I try blinking. Still, I see Zoro standing with my uncle with blood and a grin on his stupidly handsome face. Zoro, Luffy and Usopp scream as the swordsman falls, and I feel a pulsing sensation run through my body. It's simple, to abandon your ambitions. I hear Sanji shout, and then a splash as Zoro sinks into the water below. Damn, 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 Luffy shouts, and I hear a swinging noise, but I can't focus my eyes as my vision fades to red. Big bro. The pirate duo shout and splash from where they jump into the water to get the corpse of Zoro. I hear Luffy scream and move further away from me and must be in attack mode going for my uncle. Good. Zoro's gone because of him. What the hell is that? A cook questions, most likely after seeing Luffy stretch some part of his body. Bastard. Luffy snaps, then crash into something wooden, and it's silent. You're the young swordsman's comrade? Thank you for watching over him. Rest assured, that man's still alive. Uncle Mihawk lies, which seems to snap me in half as a red glow engulfs my hands. Akuma Akuma no human demon form. Arm of Refame. I shout and leap into the air and lunge for my uncle. Liar, I reach him, but he's already raised Yuru to block my attack. Dust flies into the air at the attack. How dare you kill Zoro, uncle? I dash towards him. My hand still a red glow as I give numerous punches, but still, Yuru gets in my way. Did she just say, uncle? I hear a voice exclaim in shock, but I pay no mind as I continue my assault. She did, just look at her, no doubt they're related, another exclaims in fear. Dakota, calm yourself. Do not let the demon awaken. Uncle Mihawk tries soothing me, but I feel I have fallen too far. Big bro, say something. I hear Johnny exclaim, then a cough. It was Zoro. I seem to snap out of my state, and my vision recedes to normal. I look to my left to see Luffy looking up with his bottom jaw on the floor and the pirates looking at me with fear and shock. I look over to my right, where Uncle looks to see Zoro in between Yosaku and Johnny as they swim towards their boat with Usopp aboard. Hey, quickly get him on the ship. Usopp urges them and helps the injured swordsman aboard the boat. Here's some medicine. Apply it quickly. I don't know what to do. Usopp stresses, making the duo do the same as they emphasize having no clue. It's still too early for you to die. My name is Dracule Mihawk. Find your true self, true world, become stronger. No matter how long it will take, I will await you in my strongest form. Surpass this sword, surpass me. Roronoa Zoro, he proclaims. Always so dramatic. I see where I get it. I joke, looking at him as he stares down at me, seeing I'm calming down slowly. You care deeply for the swordsman. Even your strongest demons seem to see it that way. Keep him close. He replies, and I hear Johnny panicking aboard the boat. Seems you are needed, dear niece. He then looks over his shoulder at Luffy as he crouches behind us, looking ahead at our fallen friend. Kid, what's your mission? He asks him, but I know the answer. Pirate King, he answers swiftly, without hesitation, as he looks at my uncle without fear, as to be expected. Uncle looks down at him with a smirk on his lips, which I have to say I haven't seen in years. That's a difficult path, harder than surpassing me, he remarks. Like I care, 'cause I'm gonna become one anyway. Luffy snaps, still upset at my uncle for what he did, and sticks his tongue out at him. He's alive. Yosaku shouts the good news. I see Usopp had given him smelling salt to get him back to the land of consciousness, which is just stupid now. He will bleed more if he moves, which, knowing the stubborn swordsman, he will. He just lost consciousness, Usopp announces, seeming relieved. Big bro. Yosaku cries with tears of joy running down his face. Big bro, say something. Johnny cries, too. I take a step forward to the edge of the wreckage in anticipation of what he will say. Zoro. I sigh in happiness and see him raise his last remaining sword into the air. Big bro. Johnny cries out again. Luffy, can you hear me? Zoro asks weakly. Yeah, Luffy replies, getting to his feet beside my uncle and me. Sorry for worrying you. If I don't become the greatest swordsman in the world, you'd be in a dilemma now, right? He remarks, but cuts short as he gives a harsh cough. Big bro, don't say any more, big bro. The duo panic some more over their hero. I will never lose again, he declares for everyone to hear. I can tell he is crying in frustration. Until I defeat him and become the strongest swordsman, I'll never be defeated anymore. Any problem with that, Pirate King? I grin with Luffy and Uncle Mihawk at his declaration, knowing he'll stick to it. None. Luffy giggles with a big grin on his face. Good team. Uncle Mihawk compliments them, and I couldn't agree more. I hope we meet again. Dakota, I wish to speak with you for one moment, he says and turns, walking away with me in tow, but before we even get a few steps in, Don Krieg's fat ass gets involved. Hold on there, Hawk Eyes. Didn't you come for my head, East Blue's greatest, Don Krieg's head? He boasts, seeming big-headed more and more as he goes on. Just shut it, fat ass. Let my uncle go back to sleep, he's tired from all this fun, and YT of anything. I've met better and more powerful pirates since I could walk, I snap, looking at the fat ass lug. I turn around to look at Uncle, and he looks down at me. I'm sorry for cussing, Uncle. It won't happen again. I apologize again. Even now, I should know not to cuss in front of him. I came here along with the intent to warn you of the Marines in this area. It has come to their attention that you have returned. They will not go lightly on you, dear niece. I wish to see your father. Any words for me to relay? He warns me, and I smile and hug him close to me. He hesitates at first, like always, and returns my hug, probably shocking many people. Tell Dad that I cut my precious hair and that I've finally gotten married, then tell him it was a joke. Also, tell my aunts and uncles I love them all even more than Dad, and I hope to speak to him soon. I tell him and hear Krieg crack his bones as if getting ready for a fight. It may have been enough fun for you, but I haven't done my bit yet, he says and grins before whipping out 2 guns, and then 2 sections on the sides of his armor open to reveal more weapons. He shoots towards us, and we all go our own way to escape the bullets. I jump into the air away. Akuma Akuma no human demon form. Arm of Amarok. I call. My arm grows dark brown thick fur. And my nails grow longer into claws. I fall near the boat and clutch onto the side. Johnny and Usopp jump up and pull me aboard out of the close encounter with the ocean. I look down to see Zoro bloody, lying on the floor of this tiny boat and the first aid kit that Usopp had retrieved. I grab the box and remove rubbing alcohol and bandages, but I must first see how nasty the wound is. Usopp. Luffy calls out to our sniper, who cowers behind the railing. Luffy, he calls back and looks up. I also look over to see Luffy handing on the railing of the Barati with the cooks behind him. Get going. Take care of Nami, he orders us, and Usopp seems thrilled about escaping the danger. Gotcha, me. Dakota and Zoro will definitely get Nami back. You just make that cook one of us. Then we'll make a party of 6 and head to the Grand Line. Usopp exclaims, seeming to throw his fears away for now, and even throws Luffy's hat into the air for him to stretch out his arm to catch it. Yeah, now go, Luffy replies, smiling at us. We set sail, following Nami to the island she's heading for. One Piece. BARATIE arc. Take Zoro's shirt off and clean the wound. I order them as I grab the rubbing alcohol and bandages as Johnny and Yosaku fight over who is doing it. Knock it off, I shout, and they stop. We begin to treat Zoro's wounds. So, when were you going to tell me he was your uncle? Zoro asks weakly as he looks at me. Like I've said before, I have no secrets, ask me anything, and I will answer it, I retort as I sew up his chest. Well, are there any more relatives we should know about? He jests but comes to think of it, I have dozens of them. Well, you know my dad's crew are all my uncles and aunts. Then Mihawk is my uncle but not by blood, I reply, shocking them as I finish stitching. Wait, not by blood, so how then? Yosaku asks me as I start covering the stitches with some bandages. He and my dad used to fight all the time as I grew up, and well, we got along. He taught me how to sword fight, though my dad was super jealous of all the time I would spend with him. I laugh and reflect on my time with my big happy family. I also have some in the Grand Line near the beginning on an island, but I didn't stay long enough to get to know them well enough as I was training to become an assassin with them. They're from my mother's side. I look down at Zoro, seeing him close his eyes and know he needs to rest. Let's sleep now, Zoro. You've had an important day. You just met your idol and got your ass handed to you. He smiles with his eyes closed. You fought with style, Roronoa Zoro. I feel his heart slow down, and his breathing becomes shallow, meaning he is now sleeping, and I let the tears leak from my eyes in relief, but I don't let the others see it.